Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night.
Good night, Malaysian 370.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing.
From the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita, Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
Yo, 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 what up, everybody? Welcome to the live stream. I'm your host, Ashton Forbes. This is a Friday live stream that was intended to be a free energy Friday live stream. And at the last moment, within the last 30 minutes, has been changed to an emergency live stream to talk about this video. Okay, I've only ever seen a video like that when it's been like a meteorite striking something. This just happened. That is Philadelphia. That is Philadelphia. I'm currently being community noted right now because apparently they're saying that this was a small airplane. Look again. I gotta be honest, that doesn't look like any airplane I've ever seen. Look at how fast that's moving. Look at the trajectory. So we're gonna review this. We're gonna dig into this tonight. And then we'll see. Hopefully we get to some science near the end. And if you're mad because I said we would do Free Energy Friday, well, we'll just push it to another live stream, guys. Maybe we'll do another one this weekend even. Okay, guys. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. So the breaking news right now is that there was a massive explosion that happened in Philadelphia. I saw it like within a minute or two, and I didn't see that that video I showed you. I hadn't seen yet. I saw the aftermath, and the explosion looked really like the damage looked really big, and I was like, "Whoa, this looks much bigger than just a small airplane." Because we've, guys, let's just be honest. Like, okay, real talk, everybody. There's a lot of people out there watching. We've seen a lot of airplanes crash. Even small airplanes. We've seen a lot of small airplanes crash. The only way a plane could explode that large is if it was full with fuel. So if it had just taken off, could be plausible, I suppose. So let's just be honest about the opinions. We're just throwing them all out there. The other thing is that in order for this to be an airplane, it also means that it has to be completely out of control. Because all these other airplanes, people try to land them on the runway or land them on the road or whatever, and they like even if they blow up, they're not blowing up like that. And the other thing is the speed of the airplane, as somebody pointed out, the speed of that object in the videos. After we saw the third video, and we can see the speed of the object. I mean, really, what is the difference between an airplane and a missile? There's people on one of them. It's basically the difference. You are strapping yourself onto a missile when you are getting onto an airplane. Slightly different propulsion, but basically the same thing. And so if it's coming down at the right speed, then it can cause a huge amount of damage. But that is something that would mean that it would have to be not under control by a person, right? Or if it's under control by a person, that's somebody who's using it as a weapon. They're using it like to mow people down, basically. The speed of that object was very fast. That's what Bernie says as well. A jet would disintegrate. Yeah, that's the part I struggle with the most. So let's watch the videos in order. Let's get everybody up to speed. If you're just jumping in the first 5 minutes, they're claiming it's a Learjet 55 crashed. Now they found, because I'm going to get tagged for misinformation or whatever because I said it looks like a missile, blah, blah, blah. Fine. Whatever. I don't care. Tag me, community note me. I don't really care. I was just being extravagant because that does not look like an airplane. And honestly, I think a lot of people agree that does not look like an airplane. I'm willing to believe if there's evidence, whatever, that was an airplane, but Jesus, like, look at that video. Come on. Does not look like an airplane. And we're going to look at it again here, okay? So before we do that, let's do a super chat. Lone Wolf, thank you. The third major plane accident in a single week. Yeah, this is another good point. And yeah, the F-35 just fell out of the sky. This is another reason why I wanted to do this live stream. It's not, even if this is just another plane crash, it's like, guys, we're not even 1 month into Trump's presidency. We're not 1 month in yet. We've had 3 accidents in 1 week. We had a Cybertruck bombing. The world is going crazy. The world is going crazy. We just had the helicopter incident. You guys probably didn't see the F-35 just fall out of the sky. Is there even an excuse on that? Don't worry, chat. We'll get the video. I didn't record that one because I didn't think we were going to have an epidemic of planes just falling out of the damn. But apparently we are going to have that. So, honestly, that's on me for just assuming the betterment of humanity when I should be just assuming the worst in humanity all the time. Then you'll never be disappointed. That's not. Let's play it again. Look, guys, chat. Okay, I want you to look at this explosion. So the people that are saying that it was that it's an airplane, you have to at least admit, like, that was an explosion of an F-35. Okay, you just watched an F-35 explode. I'm going to show it one more time. An F-35. Look at how slow it's moving compared to what we saw in the previous object. Right. So that was an out-of-control F-35 crashing. The explosion was tiny, okay? Now, let's get to the videos. I'm just going to talk over the videos while I go through them here so that you guys can see these beautiful videos and come to your own opinion. So first, I want to show you, this was the aftermath. This was the first video I saw. Look at how much damage there is. I looked at this and I was like, no way. I don't think, it doesn't look like a huge plane like a Boeing 777, but this is not some tiny prop plane, right? That's a lot of damage there. That's a lot of damage. And then here's the next video. This is the one where, look at the explosion. Look at how big this explosion is. You can't see the actual plane, but you can see how big the explosion is. So this means, okay, it's not some tiny solo plane here, like solo flight. So then the question is, okay, well, what is this? What happened here? This is bigger than the F-35 explosion. Yeah, this is like this isn't like a Cessna, right? Like, and so this is where, guys, like, I don't want to be the person that starts like a conspiracy theory about, like, that wasn't a plane or whatever, because I'm willing to. It seems like it was a plane. They found parts of the plane, whatever, but like, you can't really blame people because then we see this, guys. Like, look at this. This object is either completely out of control. Like, look how fast that's coming in. And look how huge the explosion is. It's almost like a double explosion. Do you see that? I don't think that was editing or anything, right? Like you see the explosion go off and then it gets bigger again right there. Yeah, look at that. I don't know, chat. Guess I'm putting my credibility on the line. It's pretty scary, man. Look at that. I mean, this last part, I honestly, I got to edit this part. I'm going to even edit it right now while I'm talking to you guys. Like this part, last part right there. That's the part. Come on, man. Come on. Look at that. Kidding me? Kidding me? So I guess I'm going to be, yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, how can this be an airplane? Like, let's look at it like this, guys. Okay. So a lot of people I can already see the conspiracy theory brewing, right? This was not an airplane. I mean, that doesn't look like an airplane. This doesn't look like an airplane to me, chat. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. I'm not trying to spread misinformation. That my opinion as just a normal guy, that's an IT guy. I just got to be 100% honest. That doesn't look like an airplane to me. That doesn't look like an airplane to me. It doesn't look like, I don't see any wings or anything. Like, maybe there'll be another video. Oh, okay. There's another video, guys. Okay, hold on, chat. Finally, we're gonna solve. This is gonna get solved in real time. Where's Chuck? Yeah, dude. Oh, sorry. There's another video. I'm gonna play this other video while we do that. So there's another video too. There you go. I knew there'd be more videos, so we would find out. Find out. Yeah, maybe if the wings fell off first, I could believe that. That could be a story I could understand. Because we just saw the other one was spiraling. So this would have to have no wings, I feel like, and just be flying straight out. But how does that even happen? Sorry, let me make this bigger because I can't even see it. I mean, look at that. That looks like a oh, okay. I'll be honest. This looks a lot cleaner now. Okay, yeah. It's because the other one was so far away. Okay. Okay, chat. I was wrong. It's not a missile. I was wrong. Okay, CNN. You can label me misinformation now. I admit I was wrong. It's not a missile. That last one does look like an explosion. Okay, we got breaking from I should be giving credit to people here too. Chuck. I always say his last name wrong, so let me just cheat. Colesto. From Chuck Colesto, guys. Follow him if you don't. Get him to 1 million. Okay, I'm gonna share screen here. Oh God. Oh God. Well, what do these people like? These people just have cams. They just have like door cams outside their like backyards and stuff as well. Okay, let me go full screen. Holy. Bruh. Bruh. That one is wild. Okay, I mean, we should remember that people probably died there, so wow. Yeah, sorry. It's like you look at that and you go, it's just so incredible. You can't imagine ever seeing something like that. You know, it gets to the point where you see something so horrific that your like humor response kicks in. It's kind of wild. That is extremely close, extremely terrifying. Yeah, this looks like a plane here for sure. The other one was just deceptive. Look at that. Just comes in. Is it cloudy or what do you guys think's going on here? Yeah, exactly. Let's not forget that like this isn't just some random explosion. And this wasn't some tiny plane either. I mean, it was pretty decent size. You can see it right there. So it must have been completely out of control. Maybe they lost their wings. I mean, look at that. Boom. Yeah, that's got to be the scariest. That's got to be the scariest thing that could ever happen, right? Like you're sitting there, you're thinking, well, if that was a nuke that just went off, like, well, it's all over, I guess. You're thinking, like, well, it's all over. I'll just make it really simple. I'm gonna go through some comments, guys. What we got here? We need an Iron Dome. Well, in this case, Iron Dome's not going to help, but yeah, I imagine that the weapons, if they really wanted to do damage, could do way more than this. The biggest problem is that this keeps happening. We're seeing stuff like this happening a lot. Like, what's the excuse for this happening? You know, that plane is completely out of control. In this video here, I'm gonna mute it in the background. That plane you see there is completely out of control. That's not like somebody trying to land the plane. That's a plane going full force into the ground as fast as possible at a 45-degree angle. Unconventional warfare. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if we really wanted to do damage, we could do damage way more than this. But this is scary. I mean, this is the middle of Philadelphia. Or I don't know about the middle of Philadelphia. Somebody help me out. So I'm going to get fact checked for that too, probably. Missile shaped like a plane. The layer separates before impact. No. I mean, it's just. I mean, but that's. I mean, what's the difference between a plane and a missile at some point? Now, our real missiles are hypersonic missiles. Yeah, of course, they'll make that look like nothing. Thank you for those donations, guys. Byron, there's a link that show the plane disappear exactly the location of the flight radar. So I guess it really is a plane. I think finding the tailpiece that has the numbers on it. I haven't shown that, but that's out there somewhere. You guys can find it. I mean, that proves that's a plane to me. But you can just see it in this video that I've shown about 20 times here. It's pretty clearly a plane because this is coming from a different angle. So you can kind of see the plane, like the curvature of the plane on that one. Okay, cool. So horrible tragedy. And I hope I don't generally do political stuff, guys, but we need to get this under control, man. We have planes. So we have planes falling out of the sky. We have planes hitting other plane or helicopters hitting planes midair. We had 3 planes in the same day have a hydraulics issue and fail their landing where one of them blew up. We have so much dangerous stuff happening with airplanes all the time, every day. And we have no resolution for it. Do I have to be worried that a plane's going to fall out of the sky and crash into my house and take me out? I mean, look at that size of that explosion. That's not even a big plane. That's not even a big plane. You started that conspiracy theory. See, I knew. Guys, sorry. I already addressed this. Go back and rewind the live stream. I already addressed this. I knew that they were going to try to say that I started this conspiracy theory that it was a missile. Look, we already debunked it. It's not a missile. We saw another aspect of or 2 more aspects of the video. We knew they would be out there. It's clearly an airplane. Even though it's still an airplane, that doesn't make this acceptable in any way, shape, or form. In fact, it makes it even more horrible. And it goes to show you that, wow, look at how much damage a small airplane can do if it crashes. This is like, we have to wake up to what the potential is for like an actual weapon that's designed to take people out. Look at that. This should be a wake-up call, especially when we watch the video of the guy in his backyard. So let's play this video again. Yeah, look at the speed in which this is coming in. I need to get the shorter version of this. Hold on. Have any of you guys ever seen a video that shows an object coming in at that high rate of speed? I haven't. Okay, guys, bear with me. Okay, we got it. There we go. Okay, that's all I wanted. I'm just going to mute the background too. Mute the export. Call it explosion short. Here you guys go. Okay. New version. Wow. So let me see if I can find any updates. Wow. I don't know if this is appropriate for YouTube. No, this is definitely not going to be appropriate. No. I'm going to describe what I'm seeing. So I'm going to go full screen. Yeah, there's more, guys. Wait, the pilot survived this, guys. So we have more breaking updates. I can't show a video of this. I'll put a link to it in the chat for you guys to go see. Somebody is walking around on the street on fire. Somebody is walking around on the street on fire in that video that I showed you there. It's extremely graphic, and so I'm not going to show it on YouTube. And I don't approve, you know, if you have kids or whatever, don't watch that. Wow. I'm actually not even going to share this on X because it's plenty of other people will already, but wow. It's pretty dark to see somebody on fire. That was either somebody in the plane or most likely, I don't think anybody in the plane could have possibly survived. Nobody inside the plane could have survived. Nobody in the plane could have survived. Plane was moving too fast. But somebody on the ground who was nearby could have survived. So probably that was the link I just posted. Very possibly was somebody on the ground, I would imagine. And again, I'm just speculating. All this is speculation. You're seeing us review the information in real time as it comes in. Okay, I'm looking through to see what else we can find. Oh, wow. General Flynn says they're not going to release the flight manifest. Actually, I don't even know. That was an hour ago. Oh, that was the black. Yeah, so that was a different plane crash General Flynn's talking about, guys. There's so many that I don't know. 11,000 feet per minute. That you really okay? So that's, guys. Just for the record, this is how fast they say MH370 hit the water. They say MH370 hit the water at 10,000 feet per minute. 10,000 feet per minute, and that's what CNN is saying that plane was hitting in that video. Do we have any experts out there? I'm not pretending to be an expert on plane crashes. Yeah, I just happen to know one about them. But one, can somebody do the math on that and figure out like how fast that plane's coming down? Wait, where's the better one? There we go. They're saying that that's 10,000 feet per minute. That's what they're saying about that. I don't know. We need to get one of those forensic video people that can like figure out speeds of stuff. A lot of people can do it. We need them to look at that and try to figure out like how fast is that actually moving, because that seems really fast. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. Okay, let's see what else we got. I'm going to share so you guys can watch along here. Welcome to the live stream. If you're new, we are reporting on this crash. Yeah, so we already saw this video. New dash cam footage. Oh, sorry, there it is. If you saw it, you saw it. Okay. Wow, drone footage. Okay, here we go. Here's something good. Wow, drone footage of the damage. Oh, let's go full screen, guys. Is there sound? No sound. Wow, man. That's a small plane. Look at that. Wow. No, there's no way that pilot survived. It's fine, guys. There's going to be a lot of, like, you know, inaccurate information coming out early on, but that's the point. You sift through it. And if you don't like that, then go watch CNN. They'll get to it eventually. How much you want to bet CNN hasn't even reported on this yet? They've probably broken to it now, but, like, it's been, like, over an hour. Yeah, this video is pretty impressive. I'm gonna show this again. Hold on. This is one though where I hate that they record it vertical. Can we ban all people from like maybe there's a way where you can make things where you can't make them vertical anymore. You can just ban it from ever being possible. Yeah, we've got the drone footage up right now. Although I'm pretty sure this drone's not filming vertically. That is massive. Okay, let's see what else we got. I think I've seen enough, honestly, after watching somebody get cooked to death. I think that's enough. Okay. So horrible situation. And I think at this point I'm just going to change gears and we're going to switch over and talk about science instead, because I don't want to think about people burning alive and planes crashing like missiles into the middle of downtown all night tonight. So just to wrap up, just to clarify for everybody out there and anybody who's watching, yes, I clickbaited you into watching this. Sorry, skill issue. Get better at discernment next time. Second of all, yes, it was a plane. No, it's not a missile. It just looks like a missile because there's similar physics involved. That plane was, in my opinion, not under control by anybody. And if it was, then it was an intentional act. If it was an intentional act, it was under control, then they were trying to blow stuff up. Maybe. Otherwise, it was unintentional. That thing was skyrocketing at maximum velocity into the ground. And my prayers go out to anybody who was on the plane, their family members. Horrible situation. Absolutely horrible. Seen enough explosions for the night. So, if you got debated into watching this, here's the positive note. Now I'm going to teach you guys, and we're going to learn off of, we're going to learn warp drive now. So, okay, here we go. So I saw this video that was published online a few weeks ago. And there's like nobody had watched it. There's like 200 followers of this guy. I don't know, is Kiddo G Bites. And he is interviewing Salvatore Pais. So, and it really doesn't say anything in here, just like some nobody YouTuber. So that only interested me more because I'm like, okay, why does Sal want to talk to this guy? So let's watch this video and learn in real time. Let's see. Let me hit these donations before we do that, though. So I want to make sure we're not missing anything. A missile shaped like a plane. I mean, yeah, the wings could have fallen off, I guess, in a hypothetical scenario. I'm not sure. That would explain why the plane was moving at super high velocity at a 45-degree angle towards the ground, I guess. Maybe. Pretty scary. There's a link that showed the plane disappear exactly the same. Oh, yeah, wait, I already got these donations, right? Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you. And Leslie as well. I posted the pilot radio transmission with the tower to your Twitter feed. It's the first in the live stream tweet. Oh, wow. I kind of want to listen to that, actually. Thank you. Thank you, Leslie. Thank you for that donation. Anyone see Leslie's thing here? Hold on. Let me switch over. While I'm looking for that. Biga Wild. Go to your regular scheduled program. Okay, well, that's rude. Karma Michelle. Do you think it was a failed attempt to warp plane? No, I don't think this had anything to do with warping airplanes. F, thank you very much. Speed and altitude looks like MCAS failures from a 737. See, now there's something useful. I don't know what MCAS failures means, though. So if anybody has an answer to that, let me know. Rebecca. Maybe Rebecca's last name. Oh, where is it? Rebecca. Anyone see it? Dan, rude chat. Look, I'm just going to block you. Is this it? I don't, oh, yeah, here, ATC.
Medevac med service 056, contact Philly departure 123.8.
123.8, Mike Tango Sierra 056 Medevac. Thank you, good day.
Medevac med service 056, Northeast Tower, contact Philly 123.8.
That's not it. I don't know. I don't see anything. I'm pretty sure if there was ATC, people would have it everywhere. Also, just, hey, just quick note to all the haters and stuff like that. First of all, just think about it this way. If you post on my feed and you're being a hater, let me point out this. First thing is, if you're being a hater, the only reaction you're going to get is I'm going to mute you or maybe block you. Those are the only two things that are going to happen. I guarantee you all the people I see through here now that I've seen them, I'm going to mute or block all of them. The second thing I want to point out is this. The way the block feature works is that if you think you're hurting someone when you block them, you're right. It actually does hurt them. That's the way that the block feature works. It's based on how many followers you have is how much it hurts them. So when you block me and you're like non-verified nobody that doesn't matter, it doesn't do anything to me. When I block you in response, it destroys your reach. because people that are actually credible that have lots of followers, you know, it hurts you when they block you because you're nobody. So actually, when you announce that you're blocking people or whatever, it's like the dumbest thing you could do to big accounts, because when they block you in response, you're just hurting yourself. You're doing nothing to them. So that's just the reality of the situation on that front. I just want to let you guys know that, because I see a lot of people like that. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not just going to block you in response. So anyway, feel free to be a hater if you want. I totally understand. It's the internet. So I only ask that if you're going to be a hater, don't be mad if I'm a hater back to you or if I troll you back in response. I mean, that's how the internet works, right? Right, guys? Anyway. Okay. Enough of that. I didn't see what I wanted to see in there, and more information will come out about that, but I'm already, I don't know. It's just tragic event, and I don't really want to dig into it anymore.
Together.
Are my own. They have
Okay, so
on this podcast.
He starts with his standard disclaimer. I'm just going to dig right into it.
Things out. You know, if we say certain numbers or certain frequencies or something, I can bleed those out, and you know, we can.
Can I give numbers? Only concept, overall concepts,
Okay.
and I have to be careful exactly what I say. So, yeah.
So
go ahead.
I've made some slight modifications to your design. I've turned the microwave emitters into a phased array system in the resonant cavity. We can get back to this because I kind of want to build up to this, but as long as you don't see anything glaringly wrong here, we'll kind of keep going.
I have to be very careful on this one.
Okay, so first thing I want to say is that when I started to watch this and I realized this guy's got a whiteboard set up, I should probably just go back for a second where you can show his thing here. I realized this guy is not messing around. And I can see in the top left there, it says modified Pais. It says Vanderbroek warp drive. So I don't know who he is. And that's the thing, is when I review people's stuff, I don't care who they are, where they came from, or whatever. I mean, it could work on his production quality here and what he's got going on, but that's totally fine if he knows his stuff. Yeah, he's cooking, and what you're going to find out is this guy, this is one of the best interviews I've ever seen. I wish I knew the physics well enough to be able to speak to it the way that he does. So let me go ahead and get you excited about what I'm about to show you, is that what Dan is about to show in this video is he's going to explain the exact science and physics that allows warp drive to be possible. He's going to explain why we've messed up and how to Salvatore Pais and impress him. So anybody like that, I'm highly interested in.
Wrong here. We'll kind of keep going
a little bit.
I can speak. Try to simplify the work, or
no. So that wasn't anything with the fusers. That was all the crap.
Okay. Right.
And I prefer the way the papers are written personally.
Right, the Superforce paper you're talking to.
Yeah, so we have the Superforce, and then we have your 2015 on the conditional possibility of spacecraft propulsion at superluminal speeds.
Right.
After that,
I
we
add
have
the link?
your high frequency
The link is
gravitational
in the
wave induced
description.
propulsion. Yes.
How long is this supposed to be? Because I only have about an hour.
You only have about an hour?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I'll try and make this quick then.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Looking at general relativity, right? We have G equals mu nu equals 8 pi. Oh, that's 4, not a pi. I'm getting ahead of myself. 8 pi, and then G over C to the 4th. This G over C to the 4th term is going to be the inverse Planck.
Right. It is the inverse Planck force. That is correct. And I call that the Superforce because and written as such, it actually talks to the Superforce acting on the spatio-temporal.
Yes, so we can
read G sub mu nu.
Okay. So somebody correct me if I'm wrong here, but what he's showing here is this is general relativity, Einstein's math equations. Okay, so we're taking cosmology. We're taking Einstein's math equations here, and he's showing us big G, gravitational constant. And they're saying that we can manipulate big G because we have this super force that we can there manipulate, which therefore makes it so that our constant now becomes a variable. I think that's what he's saying. If I'm correct, let me go back a minute.
And G over C to the fourth. This
Right.
G over C to the fourth term is going to be the inverse Planck.
Right. It is the
Am I
Planck
wrong on
force.
that?
That is correct.
Fact check me.
And I call that the super force because and written as such, it actually talks to the super force acting on the spatial temporal.
Yes, so we can
So
rewrite
G
it.
sub mu nu and giving rise to energy density. I think that's why the super force is so important. That's why I call it the force of unification.
You could rewrite it like that, so it's the space
Right.
acting on
So,
gives rise
so
to
if
matter.
you think of it, this is like an operator.
Okay.
It's a scalar operator acting on G sub mu nu, which is really the spatial temporal geometric structure of local space-time, giving rise to what? To energy density, which is T sub mu nu, truly. Yeah. Now, that 8 pi then may figure within the superforce. I left it out because I wasn't sure, but there's some geometric factor that the superforce would be privy to. So it's quite possible that 8 pi is part of the superforce equation.
So why is it important what they're bringing up here? What you need to understand is that you need to realize they're talking about manipulating space-time. They're talking about this idea that super force is this unifying force where all energy and matter come from. You can imagine that as being the ether, or what connects the 0 point energy to electromagnetism and everything that we experience all around us all the time. So I'm just going to replay the last 20 seconds.
Temporal geometric structure of local space-time, giving rise to what? To energy density, which is T sub mu nu, truly. Yeah.
So what Sal is saying is that he's trying to say that all space-time around us is filled with energy, and that energy can basically get pulled into existence all around us. And we can manipulate the energy density of regions of space-time anywhere at any scale, potentially. At least I think that's what I'm gleaning from this.
Now, that 8 pi then may figure within the superforce. I left it out because I wasn't sure, but there's some geometric factor that the superforce would be privy to. So it's quite possible that 8 pi is part of the superforce equation.
Well, because if I'm not wrong, when it's C to the fourth divided by G, it's about 10 to the 44 Newton.
That's correct. That's correct. And the other way would be like 10 to the 43.
Yes,
right?
10 to the 43, right. Correct.
Right. Newtons, right.
So on page 3 of your Superforce paper, I like adding notes here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Talk about C squared being the 1 divided by the epsilon.
Right. It's 1 sub mu 0 epsilon 0. So it's really the magnetic permeability of free space. Right.
Okay, so you need to understand what magnetic permeability and electric permeativity mean. Okay, so this is very important for anybody trying to understand any of the physics or just anything all around you all the time. An electromagnetic wave, or like a point of light, a light beam that's transmitting, we would just say that is an electromagnetic wave. An electromagnetic wave has an electric component, and it has a magnetic component, and they are perpendicular to one another all the time. So there's one wave going like this, and then there's another wave perpendicular to it. And I probably didn't do that right. And this is what creates the right-hand rule in physics. So the permittivity of an object is what determines how much that electromagnetic wave is able to transmit through that object. So it changes the refractive index of the object. Imagine like a prism for example. When you shoot a light through a prism, you can see the rainbow pattern of all the different colors and the different frequencies of light that come from that white light that you shot through it. So there's a law, I believe, and this is why I'm not an expert, that says the permittivity and the permeability come hand in hand with one another. So there are a lot of physicists out there, like Jack Sarfati is a big one that people know, that believe that changing this refractive index, changing this permittivity and permeability is what would allow us to, the equations that I just showed you there, allow us to manipulate Einstein's equations to get like warp drive effects at a low energy level, a very low energy level. That's huge. That means we don't need these massive energy levels to produce like a wormhole, for example. Now, the difference between what Sal Pais has said and said to me and on my interviews and stuff like that is that we don't need the metamaterials. We don't need like an alien spacecraft to do this. We can do this with plasma. And this is really the big question, is what would happen if you change mu 0 is the permeability and epsilon 0 is the electric permittivity. So when you hear these terms, epsilon, mu, they're talking about, and what we're going to be listening to is we're talking about just changing space-time itself. Space-time itself is a medium. It's a medium itself. So changing the permittivity of the medium, changing the medium itself, if we can do that, then we don't need the metamaterials. In fact, I think I have a clip. Hold on. Don't I have a clip? I have a clip for sure. Let me see real quick. Sal Pais. Should I have a lot of clips? Anyway, I don't know which one it is. Okay, let's just keep going.
I mean, the whole idea of the quantum vacuum is that you have, the whole idea is Dr. Putov's idea. The whole idea of the polarizer, right? Of the polarizer of a vacuum. If you're able to change these constants, mu sub 0 and epsilon 0, based on certain, how should I say, manipulation of the quantum vacuum, then it's quite possible that not only will you be able to change that speed of light, but because it plays directly into the superforce, you may be actually, see, I'm starting to believe, but this, you may want to add this out, this, you know, it's totally of the polarizer, right? Of the polarizer, mu 0, epsilon 0. So it's really the magnetic permeability of free space, right. So I mean, the whole idea of the quantum vacuum is that you have, the whole idea is Dr. Putov's idea. The whole idea of the polarizer, right? Of the polarizer of a vacuum.
Okay, so you can see we're not the only people who are looking into this. This guy Daniel is looking into this, and where do the ideas come from? They come from Hal Puthoff's polarizable vacuum. When you hear the term polarizable vacuum, that's exactly what we're doing. We're manipulating free space. And when we're talking about that, we're also talking about this space-time metric engineering. The paper, I don't know if I have this one. Let me just tag Tim Burchett. Maybe. Hold on. Let me see. Okay. There's a video out there of Tim Burchett, and he's holding a paper at the UFO hearing, the first UFO hearing, and he's saying space-time metric engineering if you have a little time on your hand. That's what these guys are talking about. They're saying they've figured out how to engineer Einstein's equations, and now we can basically cheat the universe. We can cheat the universe. From our perspective, as dumb, primitive cave people that are making explosive rockets instead of electricity-based rocketry, it's well beyond what we are currently publicly aware of and accepting. But it's these guys basically just cheated the universe, guys. That's why I like to say it. Cheated the universe. They found the cheat codes.
If you're able to change these constants, mu sub 0 and epsilon 0.
So he's saying, like, we currently believe that the permeativity and permeability of free space is constant. We believe it's constant. We believe it cannot be modified. And what they're saying is, yes, it can be modified. You just have to change your understanding of the universe. This is the reason why I say repeatedly, guys, I say space is not empty, because that's the understanding of the universe that you have to change. You have to change that understanding of the universe that space is not empty. It's a medium itself, which means what? It means that you can change the permittivity and permeability of free space. So it means you can change those. And if you can change those, then we can change the Einstein's equations. That's it. Simple as that.
Based on certain, how should I say, manipulation of the quantum vacuum, then it's quite possible that not only will you be able to change that speed of light, but because it plays directly into the superforce, you may be actually, see, I'm starting to believe, but this, you may want to add this out. This, it's totally up to you. But I think it's possible not to have to break the Schwinger limit. We can somehow modify the quantum vacuum to give certain effects. So in other words, you might not have to actually break the Schwinger limit to get these, how should I say, complex effects occurring.
Wow. So right there, he's just saying it. He's saying it right there. He's saying you can potentially modify the vacuum. We can change the amount of energy that's required to produce a wormhole, to produce a warp drive. Do you understand how huge that is? This is the biggest thing when it comes to how do we produce a warp drive or a wormhole. Everybody says, well, it just takes too much energy. It takes too much energy to produce it. But Sal's saying, when you look at Hal Puthoff, you realize you can condition the vacuum. You can condition the vacuum. Now, listen again, now that I've given that context, just the last 20 seconds or so.
Not to have to break the Schwinger limit. We can somehow modify the quantum vacuum to give certain effects. So in other words, you might not have to actually break the Schwinger limit to get these, how should I say, complex effects occurring. It'd be, do you have the book Frontiers of Propulsion Science by Eric W. Davis?
So he just name dropped Eric Davis as well, but let me show, before I go to that, I'm going to show you this. I'm just going to go to this window. Oh, wait, no. This. So this image, why is it so small? Why is it so tiny on this? It's weird. Okay, I'll go full screen. This shows the energy, the focused intensity of the energy per centimeter squared or cubic centimeter. I can't read it. Oh, there we go. I can read it now. Oh yeah, centimeter squared. On the left here, so the Schwinger limit is like the ceiling. You can see this line at the top here is the Schwinger limit. And basically we're saying when we reach this limit, this is where these basically light just starts to come out of the ether. Light comes out of nowhere. Sorry, I don't have a better way to describe it. That's what happens. And in this case, they're showing how powerful the lasers have gotten here. This is what this line is, showing that the line of these lasers is getting to the part where we're getting kind of close to that Schwinger limit. That was back in 2010. Okay. And what Sal's saying here is that we can move this line down. At least I hope I'm interpreting correctly. That we can change this limit because we can manipulate the medium itself. And if we can do that, then we can get to a situation where we can potentially get warp drive effects, wormhole effects without the, they say it takes like the amount of energy of Jupiter or even higher than that. Okay.
He's one of the editors. The other one is Mark Millis.
It's on my list.
Awesome. Yeah. Get that book because he speaks of something called conditioning the vacuum. That's exactly what you're doing when you are starting to work with this epsilon zero and mu sub zero, right?
So there's this paper from 2023
right.
called the mesoscopic Klein-Schwinger effect in graphene, where essentially they get electron hole, not electron positron, electron hole pair production within the quantum lattices of bilayer graphene. I'm pretty sure they were pumping it with a certain frequency, so there's obviously
yeah. Again, let's not discuss that.
Yeah, and that,
I know exactly.
I'm not going into, but
remember, okay.
So this, I want to listen to this part for you guys as well again. He says they were pumping it with a certain frequency. Guys, to me, I'm a layman here. That sounds exactly like how to amplify energy. Pumping it with a certain frequency, and it also sounds like how you would break like a wine glass with sound. So, like if I wanted to break this glass, you know, I would use a sound frequency and shatter the glass. In fact, I'm going to finish my coffee here. That's not how you spell Larmor, I don't think, but I think you meant to say Larmor precession frequency. We're not going to be picky here, though. So, yeah, it's called constructive interference. Yeah, I think he's going to say that here in a second as well. And this is huge. The reason why I just highlighted this comment is that it's really about interference, constructive and destructive interference. Even when you look at coherence and decoherence, it really just boils down to ones and zeros. Yes and no's. No vodka tonight, guys. No drinking. Actually, just drinking some coffee for you guys. Here we go.
Where essentially they get electron hole, not electron positron, electron hole pair production within the quantum lattices of bilayer graphene. I'm pretty sure they were pumping it with a...
So when they say electron hole, the only electron holes I've heard when I've read the science and physics is Dirac holes, which is this idea, again, of pulling energy out of the ether. The Dirac hole theory is kind of like this theory, to describe it for you guys. And you know what? I'm actually open to criticism on everything that I claim here. So I hope somebody takes this information and, if I'm wrong, corrects it, expands upon it. My understanding of the conceptual idea of the Dirac negative energy hole theory is that there's this energy all around us, and we can basically like pull it out of this area around us into our reality. And when we do that, it leaves a hole behind. So whatever energy was there before, you know, underneath the ocean of energy is now up here on top. And that the math of this checks out, where end of the day, it equals out. You took a little bit of energy out of the ocean. Now it's in the real world, observable world, but there's a little bit less energy in the ocean. That's how the math just kind of works out at the end of the day. And that's why the concept of this ether of energy is essential. There's no other way to look at it. It's essential that we have this ether of energy all around us.
A certain frequency. So
anyway, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because the frequency stuff. So there's probably a specific frequency that will, you know, break the glass, so to speak, of the ether of energy.
In essence,
right.
I had the opportunity to speak with Dr. Travis Taylor recently in November.
Oh, what a man!
In a tweet that he did, and then also a paper that I can send you that he put out for a company when he was working for Radiance Technologies. And
I want to find this paper by Travis Taylor that was from when he was with Radiant Technologies. I feel like I need to understand everything that is mentioned in this interview.
essence, when you have your G equals mu nu equals, let's simplify the scalar constant here to K.
So he changes the equation, says, okay, the scalar constant is going to be K.
A, right? T mu nu. If you can turn K into a variable by modifying epsilon and mu, you no longer don't need to break the Schwinger limit in order to get these warp effects.
Yeah, so wow, what he just said right there, and I clipped this. So now he's saying if you can change this scalar constant, it's now not a constant anymore because you can change permeativity and permeability of free space. Now, if I want to manipulate big G, I don't need a huge amount of energy anymore. I think that's what he's saying right there. It's going to go back like 4 seconds.
Or don't need to break the Schwinger limit in order to get these warp effects.
Very interesting.
Yes.
I'll just say very interesting, but you know where I'm going with this. Yeah.
The way Sal reacts right there, guys, this is honestly bigger right here. What you're seeing right here. I know Sal, man. I know Sal. This is bigger than what we saw with the airplane. The way he's smiling like this, that's a knowing smile. He's jubilant right there because somebody is saying something that he's not allowed to say, right? He's not allowed to go that far. This guy's going a little further and he's going, you just took it. He's like, you just took it beyond the line. I can't go quite that far.
So Dr. Taylor is not only brilliant, he's
So here's the deal, guys. Because we're gonna go through the rest of this interview, but I don't want to bore you with it. I'm not one of those people that tries to. Okay, maybe I am. I did debate you guys into watching this live stream, so I guess I am somebody that debates people into watching live streams. It wasn't entirely intentional. There was breaking news that happened beforehand. It just ended up being somewhat mundane. Not really. I mean, it's a plane crash, but here's the deal: is that we can modify gravity. We can modify gravity. Let me just say it again. We can modify gravity. With Einstein's equations, we can modify gravity. And it really is just a debate over whether or not you need metamaterials to do it, aka a flying saucer, UFO flying saucer, some type of technology to produce stuff at a nanoscale beyond what we can do, or if it's simple, if it's easy to do, if we can do it with lasers and plasmas and what have you. Now, I'm of the mind that we can do it easily, that we don't need metamaterials, that we can do it just with pumping electromagnetism, amplifying energy, amplifying electromagnetic energy, and with plasmas and lasers. I think we can do it. Probably don't even need lasers. Plasmas, definitely. And if that's the case, it changes everything. It changes everything. Because then it exposes this UFO phenomenon as really a hyper advanced technology race between multiple nations and whoever's in the know about this. And everybody who's in the know doesn't want anybody else to know about it. They want to keep it secret. And, like Avi told me, or I spoke with Avi, and I think it was in my discussion where he's like, well, somebody will figure it out eventually. Yeah, somebody is going to figure it out eventually. People are. We're in a live stream right now with lots of people watching, and you're figuring it out. You're hearing it right now this is a real U.S. Navy engineer right here who has 5 patents that they call UFO patents because they don't understand it.
It's quite. I'm amazed that they're letting him speak to the public. I'll tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, This man is a cornucopia of knowledge. I've never been lucky enough to meet him. He is the sort of person that should be in charge of Arrow. If you want,
So he's glazes what's his face? Tim Taylor a little bit.
because it's true. All
No.
this, in my opinion, too, is hidden in plain sight.
I disagree with Ross on some things, but I don't want to get into people here. I'm more about the physics.
Yeah,
of people.
yeah.
So that brings us past your Superforce paper.
And that's where that point I kind of cut it off there, skipped ahead. But yeah, he was talking about Travis Taylor. And I did go searching around for his paper, whatever. I understand. You guys understand the core concepts now. I just explained it to you. That's all you need to know. We can modify the Einstein's equations. The difference between the mainstream people and the people that understand how it works is that we understand that space-time's not empty and we can manipulate it. That's it. That's all you have to understand. If you understand that, you understand the concepts. Now, what was just said was that they both kind of agreed this is hidden in plain sight. This is hidden in plain sight. Why? Because basically everybody watching this has no idea what they're talking about right now. Because they're literally explaining it to you in this video that had like 200 views before we started looking at it. They're going through the math and the physics and the detailed analysis right here. I mean, I don't know what more people could ask for. It's just that we don't understand it because humanity, we're stupid. We don't care about physics. We care about explosions. We care about explosions and we don't care about physics and science and warp drives. Right? You get my point?
Into your 2015 paper on the conditional possibility.
The conditional possibility.
So Sal's saying all this stuff is just sitting out there for in the public view. Even the science about how to manipulate gravity is just in the public view. And what's holding us back? Well, you tell me, guys. Hold on. Let me go full screen. Like, if you have a better opinion, you tell me what it is that's holding us back. Like, how the physics is out in the open. Hal Puthoff's papers are out in the open. Space-time metric engineering is out there. It hasn't been falsified by any experiments. Nothing has falsified the theories about it. We just don't like it because they were poo-pooing it. I don't know. You tell me the reason why we're not like just moving to the Star Trek age when all the science is out there. And this is the best comment here I just saw in the chat. It's like, you think that's air you're breathing? Exactly. We're in the Matrix. People are not real. They're NPCs. They're not really real people. Most people are not thinking critically about the world around them in any given point in time. They're just living their lives out.
Now, you realize that was my first paper. Do you know it took 4 years to finally get that published?
Really?
It went
4
through a
years?
severe
Oh,
period. They would refuse because they never understood that I was not in any way violating special relativity.
No, you're
I was
expanding
just
on
expanding it.
Yes.
Exactly. You're the first to notice that. This
Well,
whole
and-
paper is about expanding it.
Well, and
So, man, it makes so much sense now, too. Sal's saying, because they're saying, oh, you're breaking general relativity. And he's going, no, I'm not. I'm just extending it. I'm telling you, we can manipulate the medium. I'm just telling you, space-time is not a constant. It's not a constant. That's all he's saying right here. Space-time's not constant. And the peer reviewers don't even understand that. So you tell me why. It took 4 years for him to get a paper approved on that?
And
Yeah.
like so when talking about inertial mass, we need to talk about the equivalence principle and in general relativity, where you have your acceleration.
Okay, so the equivalence principle is that mass and inertia are basically the same. So inertia is the resistance to acceleration. Mass is how heavy you are.
And that's where inertial mass comes from. It can become equivalent to gravity. And you talk about here, you're in the conclusion of that paper here, that a plausible mechanism for this inertial mass reduction is an Alcubierre-like mechanism. It's a warp drive. And I find it fascinating that you never actually use that terminology.
I didn't because, in my opinion, it all has to do with reducing inertial mass. The problem is a lot of individuals, for example, Eric W. Davis, when you try to talk about inertial mass reduction, he says, nonsense, absolutely not. How can you reduce inertia?
So we figured it out. Okay. If you got debated, and well, here's your payoff. So you can modify mass. You can modify inertia and you can modify mass. Because, once again, guys, what's the concept that I told you? You only need to know one thing about the concept of physics. Space-time is not empty. Keep repeating it. Space-time is not empty. So what's giving us our mass? The energy all around us is what's giving us our mass. It's also what's giving us inertia. The 0-point energy all around us is giving us mass, and it's giving us inertia, and it's the cause of gravity. Bingo. Bingo, guys. Physics is solved. That's all it took. That's all it took. It's so easy. All we need to do is understand that concept, and then all of physics is solved. All of physics is solved, and we get free energy, and we get warp drives and wormholes. And they already exist, and it's already been figured out. We're like the last people to cross the finish line because we're just the peasants that nobody gives a shit about. That's the hard truth. Welcome to it. That's the reality. That's the true nature of our reality.
But see, okay, for example, the atom is 99.99% empty space, truly. Think of it.
Yep.
So we're talking about quantum vacuum. The whole idea of the gluons, what do the gluons truly represent? Vacuum energy.
Yep.
And it's mostly part of the mass of the proton is vacuum energy.
And
Hence,
so it's emergent.
Correct. So if you're able to somehow manipulate the quantum vacuum, modify the quantum vacuum at a local, and this is where I'm coming from with inertial mass reduction. This is where I'm coming from. So I do not believe in that.
Okay, I need to summarize that for you guys as well. So what Sal just said is, okay, well, if we, like, where's the mass of the proton coming from? Oh, the mass of the proton is coming from the what do you call it? The vacuum energy. Vacuum energy is just 0-point energy. These guys don't like to use certain terms because it triggers academics, but they all mean the same thing. So they're saying that the mass of the protons coming from the 0-point energy. So that means if we manipulate the 0-point energy, then what happens? We manipulate the mass. If we manipulate the mass of an object, we're also, through the equivalence principle, manipulating the inertia. So we can manipulate the mass of an inertia of an object by manipulating the 0-point energy. Hayes and Ruda were the ones that wrote about this in their scientific paper in the 90s. Hayes and Ruda, something about 0-point energy and inertia. You guys can find it. They were also best buds with Hal Puthoff. So it's been figured out already. This isn't me being egotistical. Gravity's been figured out. 0-point energy's been figured out. They've already figured out the source of mass and inertia. And once you've figured out the source of something, you can engineer it. You can manipulate it. So yes, they can manipulate the mass and the inertia of objects, which means if you manipulate the inertia, you can now achieve speeds that you could never have achieved before. Like close to the speed of light, or potentially we can break the speed of light. It opens the door to breaking the speed of light. And last thing I'll say is when you break the speed of light, you are basically violating special relativity. And now there are paradoxes that form. We call it time travel.
Impossibility. I believe in conditional possibilities. Yeah. Hence the name of that paper.
Yep. Yeah. So I see a warp drive. Specifically a modified Van den Broek type warp drive, not an Alcubierre. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the differences.
I am not. I will tell you right off the bat, I'm not.
So Travis Taylor's warp drive, it's an expansion upon the Van den Broek method, which is an expansion upon the Alcubierre method.
Okay.
So if we're just looking at our one-dimensional York time for an Alcubierre drive, you're going to have your positive well and your negative well over here. What Van den Broek found out is that if you nest one of the fields within the other one.
Oh, how interesting! Because remember the high frequency gravitational wave generator uses confined, or rather nested electromagnetic fields, fields within fields.
Yeah,
the whole idea of the Gerstenstein effect.
Yep. So
Yeah.
you get a coupling between spin 1 and spin 2.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. 100%. Yes.
So,
100%.
And so what people have talked about, are you familiar with Greg Hodgson?
Okay, so let me break it down for my normie chat followers here. What did he just say right there? If you don't know Miguel Alcubierre, 1994, he wrote the warp drive space-time metric. So basically showed that we could take Einstein's equations, just like we showed at the beginning of the stream or whatever, beginning of this review, and we can ride a wave. We can ride a gravity wave. We can ride a gravity wave and we can achieve warp drive. That's what you saw with the first, just like one up and one down. And the way we do that is we need some negative energy and some positive energy. And if we have positive energy and negative energy, we can cause an asymmetric reaction where we just accelerate freely in space forever, like riding a wave, a bubble. It's really a bubble at the end of the day. Now, the big problem with it was the energy requirement. The energy requirement was the problem. It was too much energy to pull it off. So what he's saying here is Van den Broek, who you see, his name's written right here. There. He found a way to reduce the energy requirement. So he found a way that you can drastically reduce the energy requirement with, as you see here, basically nesting the waves on top of each other. So, or as Sal said it, I don't know, some type of harmonic thing with the waves. So in general, you can stack waves on each other and you can build them up. And so what Sal and them were saying too is that when you think of coupling, think of just two things connecting with coupling. Spin 1 and spin 2, the way I understand that is he's saying that we can basically cause a gravitational reaction to occur. We can cause a gravitational reaction. If we hit the right frequency, we can, cause a warp time bubble to happen here. But we have to use the right approach and reduce the energy requirement that we need. So we need to find the most efficient way to produce our warp drive. And so Travis Taylor apparently took this metric, the Van den Broek, which is just an advancement on Miguel Alcubierre, and advanced it even further, which is a good sign. Like I've never met Travis Taylor before. I have no idea what kind of person he is, but this tells me he's following the real science that's out there. And it makes me wonder, did he find a way to make it way, way, way more efficient? Because at the end of the day, all these people are trying to do is figure out, like, how do we really engineer a warp drive and how do we reduce the energy requirements? And if we can't do negative energy, how do we get rid of the negative energy requirement as well? Because all of these, like when you see the up and the down, that's because one of them is negative energy. We need negative energy and positive energy. Now, when you change your view of the universe and you say, oh, well, there's this energy all around us, now negative energy becomes obvious. Negative energy is just down here. Positive energy is up here. So all we need to do is we need to break into our 0-point energy, and we need to manipulate it. We need to engineer the space-time metric. And if we engineer that space-time metric, then we can do that, what you see right there. Watch the live stream from Monday, and when you see Michael come on the show, he shows like 2 books that you guys can read. But as a layman, it's kind of tough, honestly. Thank you, Jung. Thank you.
I'll tell you the truth. The one book that propelled me toward a lot of these ideas were reading Frontiers on Propulsion Science.
Okay.
So there you go, right there. Frontiers on Propulsion Science, Eric W. Davis. That's the book that Sal recommends. Frontiers on Propulsion Science. Frontiers of Propulsion Science on Amazon. Oh, no, this is... Oh, by Millis. Oh, yeah, and Eric Davis. Yeah, Eric Davis. Okay, cool. Okay, so yeah, you can find Frontiers of Propulsion Science. You can find it on Amazon. It's got 4.8 rating, about $150. So this is where Sal's saying that he got a lot of his ideas from Eric Davis. Now, this is crazy, right? Because we can see from this that we've got the engineers figured out. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out that we've got the people that figured out this warp drive stuff. It's Hal Puthoff, Eric Davis, and everybody connected to him. They're all in a small little circle of people that all are spooks for the government, and they've figured this out. The government's figured this out. The defense contractors have, and the way they've set it up in a way where even though they know about the technology, they're basically the liaisons between the defense contractors and the military and like the politicians and what have you. Is it like the Hal Puthoffs and the Eric Davises? They help build all this stuff, and then they release like a certain amount of information that's allowed to be publicly released. They release that. And then they also go and act as the people that are like trying to get it out to the public and the liaisons to the government at the same time. They're acting in all these roles at the exact same time. And it's obvious that they've figured it out once you like start to read their scientific papers. You just listened to Salvatore Pais, the guy that's got 5 patents in the U.S. Navy's name, say that he got his inspiration from Eric W. Davis. What more do you people need?
So I read a couple more papers, of course, on that. But what truly generated the idea behind my craft using an inertial mass reduction device was this paper, Conditional Possibility of Spacecraft Propulsion at Superluminal Speeds. I realized that maybe there's a way to actually alter locally the inertial mass of a craft, and hence be able to propel yourself by conditioning the vacuum. Truly, are you acquainted with the gentleman Herman David Froning? He went by David Froning.
Yeah, so I've never met, but I'm familiar with his work.
Yes.
Yeah, he did a lot of
his
work.
Idea, yes.
With MHD. Yep.
His ideas of conditioning the vacuum is very important. He wrote a seminal paper. I believe I cited him in one of my papers. I'm pretty sure I did. It's one of the best papers other than Hal Puthoff's paper on the polarizable vacuum. David Froning's paper on conditioning the vacuum is absolutely gorgeous.
Okay, so there's another one for you, and he has a book. I'll shout him out. Faster Than Light, Warp Drive and Quantum Vacuum Power, Lost Science. This sounds pretty good. An amazing book on faster than light flight. H. David Froning, a 30-year veteran engineer who worked on several designs for future space travel propulsion, gives us this exceptional compilation of his discoveries, struggles and experiences in the realm of faster than light space travel. Okay, interesting. Engineering the vacuum, quote unquote, as it is called, involves discovering how space can be altered to provide energy and thrust for future spacecraft. Wow. Okay. Pretty interesting. He also has a paper on in 2012 with George Hathaway. Okay, we got to hold on, guys. Wow. Might have had a major thing here. Experiments involving specifically conditioned EM radiation, gravitation, and matter by Froning, Barrett, and George Hathaway. George Hathaway? Yeah, see, look at it. My chat is on point. You guys even pointed it out before I even said it. He wrote a paper with George Hathaway? This is what I'm saying, guys. This is a very small... Yeah, look, David Froning, George Hathaway, Hathaway Consulting, Ontario, Canada, or Toronto, Canada. This is a very small field of people that are in the know. It's a very small field. And I think we've pretty much figured them out. There's definitely more, but we're slowly figuring them all out. We kind of started at the top and figured them out, and we're kind of working our way down. Let's see. But if ordinary EM fields could be endowed with an essence and form similar to that which underlies gravitational fields, a much stronger coupling or interaction might be accompanied for propulsive use. This paper describes several ways of creating specifically conditioned EM radiation and how the fields associated with such gravitation might interact with those associated with gravity. Wow. Yeah, and this paper was from 2012. So, wow, chat. Okay. I don't know, guys. Like, I pull up papers nonstop. This must be how Jeremy feels, alien scientist. You pull up papers nonstop, and you just wonder why people haven't been paying attention.
So
it's a gorgeous paper.
Kind of expanding on what's going on with both Taylor's version of the warp drive and what Greg Hodgin is doing with his company ZC Institute, is that you can use the warp fields to compress the plasma to do fusion.
Ah,
So
oh my goodness.
You can use the warp fields to compress the plasma to produce fusion. Chat. You can, like, one more time.
Is that you can use the warp fields to compress the plasma to do fusion.
Ah, so oh my goodness.
Well, chat. Well. If it isn't our friend Cold Fusion coming back again, where it turns out the same mechanism that you use to make a warp drive can be used to produce cold fusion. And what are we doing to produce our warp drive? We're manipulating space-time. We're manipulating a region of space-time. We're making a bubble. We should have been doing cold fusion the whole time. What the hell are we doing with our hot fusion tokamak crap? Like, this is, guys, and this is the reason why this is so important. This is the reason why they hit it. This is why they hit it. Let me go full screen, chat, because I see Loomer Fan Club in the chat. Welcome. Loomer Fan Club, this is for you. For the people that are wondering, like, why do they hide all this UFO stuff? What's the big secret? The big secret's not aliens. The big secret is that they hid this 0 point energy stuff because there is this energy all around us that we can manipulate and we can tap into, and we can potentially even pull that energy out all the time. And this is what allows for warp drives to happen, but it also allows for fusion to occur as well. So we can produce all the same exact physics that they're hiding has a number of different effects. And you'll find that they're all controversial and they're all out there. One of them is free energy. One of them is cooling things down. Another one is EM drive, which is like this impulse drive. And another one's warp drive, where you can just move anywhere you want. And then the last one then is wormholes that can be produced as well, all using this same exact science, this exact same concepts that are out there. But because this allows for very easy cold fusion to be produced, the Department of Energy is the one that's in charge of the UFO phenomenon. The reason why the Department of Energy is in charge of the UFO phenomenon is because this was never really about aliens. It was about understanding this 0 point energy and what it's really capable of under an advanced civilization. A really advanced civilization that has 0 point energy, that can manipulate the 0 point energy at that quantum scale, is infinitely more powerful than a civilization with just fire and rockets like we have right now. That's the thing that they're hiding. That's the huge, dark secret that they're hiding. And lastly, the thing that is even bigger than that is what they've been doing to monopolize and maintain supremacy over that technology. Realize that what I just told you about that technology, that's a weapon. That's a weapon. That's power. That's political power. That's power of every type. And whoever has that power controls the planet. So what have we been doing to keep that technology in the United States' hands? Anything it takes. Let me repeat that. What have we been doing to keep this 0-point energy UFO technology in the United States government hands? Anything it takes. That's the dark thing that this comes down to. Mic drop.
You know, they keep on saying that plasma cannot be compressed. Do you agree with
Nonsense.
that?
It's nonsense.
Total nonsense, correct? Yes,
Yeah.
yes. But for some reason, they keep on citing the whole idea of grad dot B equals 0. The divergence of the B field equals 0, saying they're...
So that's crazy, chat. That is so crazy. That is something that only physicists are going to understand. Only people like Tom Montauk, us like alternative science physicists understand what he just said right there. He said that they say that you can't compress plasma. That's how they get around it. Because otherwise, everybody should just understand that we can do cold fusion. Just compress plasma together and you're going to get fusion happening. Right? It's just simple. It's pressure. It's like, okay, take your ball of plasma, apply pressure to it of any form. Fusion's going to occur. Things are going to bounce together. Why do we don't do that? Oh, because plasma can't be compressed. What? Plasma can't be compressed because space-time's empty. If space-time's empty, you can't compress plasma, chat. But if space-time's not empty, if it's not, then what is the compression of plasma? The compression of plasma is a gravitational field. The compression of plasma is going to be a gravitational field. And that's what they can't admit to. That's what they can't admit is real. That's why they have to lie and say that plasma can't be compressed. But if you have a gravitational field, you could compress the plasma. And what do they quote? What do they quote? They quote the one equation that's wrong. The one that they quote is the B field equation equals 0. I think it's the B field, the magnetic field equals 0, but it doesn't. The magnetic field times the vector equals 0. I always say this wrong. It equals the vector the magnetic vector potential is what it actually equals. Is that there are potentials, because we're in this medium, there are potentials that you can still measure. You can still measure. So when they say there's nothing there, this is the whole problem. Mainstream physicists are saying there's nothing there. When we look at the equations, it says it equals nothing, 0. There's nothing there. And this is where people come back and say, no, when you simplified the Maxwell equations, you took out the scalar potential. You took out the gravitational manipulation. That's why you think it equals 0, when in reality, space is not empty and it doesn't equal 0. It equals the magnetic vector potential of what might be possible. Yeah, A field, right? Yeah, so I think the real way the equation should be written, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, is the del cross operator times the B field equals the A field. I think that's the right way to say it. The divergence of the magnetic field is equal to the... Okay, whatever. I tried. Okay. Oh, shit, here we go. Let's get... Pais believes in aliens, bro. Cope. No, you know what? I believe in aliens more than you do. I believe in aliens more than any of you because aliens are definitely real. They're definitely real. And there's infinite of them. There's aliens of every color, every type, insectoid, reptilian, the white Nordics for you people who are anti-DEI. There's every single kind of alien and even future humans too. We've literally everything that you could possibly want. I'm the most supportive alien person there is. For me, it's a matter of I'm already past the aliens. Like, You're in my rearview mirror, like way back there, jogging along, and I'm just rolling up in my Ferrari, and I'm already past the aliens thing, bro. You're stuck on aliens still back there. We're playing Squid Game, and you're still stuck on the first challenge, and I'm already on challenge number 5, ready to finish the test. You're about to get gunned down because you're too slow. Bro, we moved past the aliens. We're so far past it at this point. And that's the reality. We're trying to get everybody to catch up with it. Where it's like everybody's trying to say like the aliens are going to make us all rethink our civilization, and we're going to like totally unify under a one world government because the aliens are real. Nah, that ain't going to happen, dude. Nobody really cares that much about the aliens being real. That's your Friday night rant for Ashton. Actually, we probably had a few. But no, that's just the hard truth. Because truthfully, people just care about what impacts them. Aliens being real, the insectoids or the mantid creatures or whatever the shit, like reptilians, like none of that matters, man. Like we're living life on this planet. There's no reptilians out there. Unless reptilians are begging for money on the street corner, I don't really care. Right? Also, let me just rant on the psychic powers people as well real quick. Where are the psychic powers one? I can't find. Okay, this whoever posts something about psychic powers in the chat. Okay, if you got psychic powers, use your psychic powers and become a billionaire, right? Just use your psychic powers, become a billionaire, or have CNN come out and summon the craft while CNN's out there, while it's rolling, live stream it so we can see how long it takes, so we can see you not playing editing games. Just do that, man. Just do that. And I'm not even hating on it. It can be real, but I'm just wondering, like, why are we not doing stuff like that? Which would be, like, very definitive in terms of if you've got some psychic powers or whatever. Like, I'm hearing these people talk about the psychic messages they got, and it just sounds so made up. It sounds made up, man. Like the guy going on Joe Rogan, and he's talking about, oh, I was looking at the blue alien, and I could just tell it was, like, experiencing fear, and I was experiencing it at the same time. I'm like, bro, that's not telepathy. That's just called having emotions and being in a stressful situation. It's crazy, man. Okay. Sorry, that's enough alien talk for now. And again, aliens can be real. I mean, I'm trying to here's the worst part, chat. I'm trying to help the alien people out. I'm like, hey guys, you need aliens to be able to teleport to us in order to get here. Here's the physics that explains it. We're going through it right now. Here's how you can make a wormhole. Here's how, like, all points are really connected through this ether. We can literally just teleport. This is like literally handing disclosure to the alien heads on a silver platter. Going, here you go. You can now explain how alien ET can visit us. And their response predominantly is, no, screw you. You hurt my feelings. You hurt my feelings now. I'm going, what? I'm telling you, here's how you can make a wormhole, and your little ET, the extraterrestrial buddy, Biju from the ambassador from the Andromeda Galaxy. Yes, the stories of him visiting you, they can be real now. They can be real now. And they're going, no, that's stupid. Making a wormhole is stupid. Biju is real. Biju is real. Jesus, chat. How are we ever going to get disclosure? How are we ever? Oh, and also, by the way, you have to be a left-handed gay man to be able to summon the chat. Okay, you know, I wish I had a drink. I haven't even had anything to drink. You have to be a left-handed gay man, apparently, to be able to summon the UFOs. Those are the people that have the most proclivity to UFO summoning or something like that. I knew this was going to happen. I knew this shit was going to happen. I told you it's woke disclosure. I told you it was woke disclosure. You guys were making fun of me going, why are you calling it woke disclosure, Ashton? Next thing you know, they're going, okay, they're looking for the gay men who are promiscuous and have the most sexual trauma in their life. These are the people that are going to be the elite heroes of the UFO community that are they're gonna solve everything. Jesus Christ. I'm just sitting here going, do they also have to have blue hair, and do they have to be transgender as well? Or can I just be a normal, well-adjusted human being and, you know, study UFOs? Jesus, chat. Ah, man. I just want to understand, like, who is the PR campaign person for this? It's got to be a Democrat. I'm not trying to be political. It's got to be a liberal that has come up with the PR campaign for the alien disclosure shit. It has to be. It has to be. There is no way, no chance in hell that a right-wing conservative came up with this playbook that includes, like, okay, now psychic powers are real, but you have to be a left-handed gay man. I forgot you have to be left-handed too. A left-handed gay man. That is the target demo for psychic powers, chat. And these are the people making fun of me. These are the people saying that we don't have any credibility, or these are the people saying that, like, that it's silly to believe that MH370 videos are real. You guys forced me into this rant. I blame you. Okay, let's go back to real hard science. We've had enough politics. That was a good side rant.
There are no magnetic monopoles analogous to, you cannot compress a plasma.
So that magnetic monopole comparison is interesting as well, because maybe that's what's required to produce the scalar potential. Maybe magnetic monopoles and gravitational fields come hand in hand.
It's driving me up a wall. Because
this is where it gets. So, are you familiar with the Dr. Friedwart Winterberg? He passed recently.
I heard of his work, but I
Friedwart Winterberg? Yeah, I've heard of him. We did a whole live stream about him.
I cannot say that I read him in detail. I think I touched upon some
his whole idea, and he ended up being hired by Lockheed right before he died to make specifically general relativistic corrections to their compact fusion reactor.
Wow.
And what his idea was is, if you get two magnetic coils and you're in this compact fusion device, forcing kind of like an ion thruster, you know, for the deuterium fuel. When you counter rotate them, you'll get a negative energy flux to make a toroid, and then that's what does your compression. So you get the negative mass that it solves both fusion and propulsion.
Look at 7, 8, and 9. Equation 7, 8.
Okay, so right there, he just explained, like, it solves fusion and propulsion. Again, we're just compressing the plasma. We're compressing the plasma down with electromagnetic fields. Wow, I don't have no idea what currency this is. Argentina. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much to Argentina, to Pippi Universe. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Great podcast, man. Woke disclosure was on point. Ja. Yeah, I was ahead of the curve on the woke disclosure thing. I might have been wrong about thinking that the plane crash was a missile, but it's a fair thing to get wrong. It looks like a missile. I hope I didn't start a conspiracy theory on that, though. But I'm more right than I'm wrong. But we're all human.
Then 9 in the plasma compression.
Okay, yeah. So Winterberg was probably way bigger than what we thought. What the public understands, Winterberg was way more connected. My guess is a lot of Winterberg's stuff is classified. But Winterberg knew that cold fusion was real for sure, 100%.
Fusion device paper.
Okay, so then Sal's mentioning 7, 8, and 9. These are the equations where he's talking about amplifying energy. Amplifying energy. Yes, you heard me correctly.
The IEEE TPS paper. Look carefully at exactly what happens with the plasma core. Look at equation 9 and what it speaks to. The vortex equation. There's a toroidal vortex that forms that
RV is the effective vortex radius. So.
Yes, and it actually brings toward energy amplification, but I won't say more than that. Yeah. What I'm really worried about is that several Chinese teams have picked up on that paper. They've realized certain things within it.
Two things. Another thing I want to point out, when they're talking about that vortex, they said it's a negative energy density. Let me repeat that. Negative energy density. What else is a negative energy density, chat? Casimir effect. Casimir effect. Why? Because gravity is just a pressure force. Gravity is just a pressure force. So that's why when we put two plates close together, they come together. Because we're creating a negative energy pressure. This is the same effect that we need to confine our plasma, to force it to fuse. That's what they just explained right there.
So, yeah.
Oh,
But
and then Sal said, the video is in my YouTube channel. If you go to the YouTube description, you can find a link to the video. I'm sorry I can't help you out on the X at the moment. Sal just openly says we can amplify energy. How are people ignoring that? Do you guys know what the words amplify energy mean? Am I the only one on the planet that understands the words amplify energy? Amplify energy means that you can make a small amount of energy become a huge amount of energy. That's free energy all on its own. Amplification of energy. And you may say, okay, well, you're going to input the excess energy, so it's not really free. You're just amplifying it to produce like an explosive effect. Okay, well, amplifying energy in any way, shape, or form leads to big booms. Big booms. And if we can get our energy level to a huge level, we can break the Schwinger limit and apparently break down space-time itself, which is exactly the thing that we're looking for, because we've been trying to figure out, how can this shit right here be real? How can this be real? And it turns out we need to break down space-time itself. And we need a large amount of energy, but not a huge amount of energy that blows up the whole planet. A localized amount of energy. So amplifying energy is a requirement. And it turns out I might have been right about something else. Sal is right, and Jack Sarfati is right. We can reduce the energy requirement, and we can amplify energy. We can do both. We can reduce the energy requirement to produce a black hole, to produce a wormhole, whatever you want to call it. And we can also amplify energy that's required to make it happen. So when you take those two factors, this is something that, guys, if you're not that familiar with me, this is magic cards back here. This is magic cards. In magic cards, it's always fun to play the knight deck. I'm going to play all my knights, guys. You know, the theme deck, but you get rolled. And even if you're a good player, you win maybe 50% of the time. What you're trying to do in magic cards is you're trying to find the deck that just breaks the rules, basically. The deck that can win 75% of the time, even against other good players, against every deck. The kind of deck that's basically attacking on a different level. Like the kind of a deck that's like destroying your lands. Like, you know what? Screw creatures entirely. I'm just going to destroy all your lands and you can't even play the game. And then you just want to rip your hair out. That's what we're trying to do. That's what we are doing with general relativity. That's what this whole stream is about. That's what Sal Pais is saying here, is that when you really play with the equations, you find that there is, in the equations, energy amplification. Energy amplification.
I'm pretty sure that if you know that, how should I? I'm 100% sure that a lot of this work was done in the black, but for some reason my patents were let into the light. See, so nobody believes me when I tell them that I've never worked on quote unquote gravitic propulsion systems. Everybody thinks that I'm, that.
So there was.
Okay, so let me address. I'm going to respond to Sal right there. One, yes. Why have his patents been allowed to be in the public? Why did Sal's patents get allowed to be made public? Makes no sense. They're way too specific. Do I think Sal worked on anti-gravity UFOs? No. I do not think that. Here's what I think. I think Sal, and in this interview, he says he worked at Northrop Grumman. And then after Northrop Grumman, he said he went to the Navy. because we're probably not going to have time for that. This is what I'll say. I think that Sal saw something while he was at Northrop that led him to the Thomas Townsend Brown effect, or led him to this physics. And then from there, he just figured it out for himself. That's what I think happened with Sal. And I'll even be more specific. I don't know who made the B-2 bomber, but the B-2, if you do the physics on its weight, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It has to be using some electrogravitics to assist in the lift. And if it's using electrogravitics, then that's the kind of thing that Sal could have seen. Like if he sees a spy plane using electrogravitics as an engineer and he knows it's real, then he's going to know by extension all this other stuff is real. And like I said, all you have to understand is the concept that space is not empty. So once Sal realizes the concept space is not empty, then he can figure out all this stuff about warp drives and high frequency gravity, inertia reduction, etc. And this goes to show you that, again, it's hidden in plain sight. All these people are independently figuring it out.
How do I want to word this?
Okay, I think he has.
There is a physicist. Or not. I guess he's technically more of a lab engineer, because I don't think he can't remember if he got a degree. Anyways, he worked for Guidance Technologies, and as well was hung around the Gravity Research Foundation crew in the 50s. In the 50s. Anyways, in the 60s, his intellectual property was sold, mediated via the Rand Corporation, from Guidance Technologies to Northrop Grumman. Now, the individual who I'm talking about is Thomas Townsend Brown. Is that a name you're familiar with?
I was going to say, it's got to be Thomas Townsend Brown.
He's a legend. But everybody, again, they called him a pseudoscientist, the crank, among other things. For some reason, though, I will not go into the legend of the B-2 bomber. But if you do certain calculations on the weight of the B-2 bomber, certain things become apparent. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah.
Well, and there was
So there you go, chat. And I won't lie, I've watched this interview twice, so that's how I knew that. I'm not psychic. But I didn't know that part was coming right now. But there you go. So Sal, in his own words, I mean, that's how he found out, right? He saw something and then he knew, and then he's probably been exposed to stuff in the Navy where he knows for sure we've got crazy stuff.
So I'm not sure how much you know about my background. The kind of decloaks in the sky point in time.
Energy field, the type of energy. Yes.
Okay, so are you familiar with and this starts to get into some of the side work I've done with Maya Benowitz and kind of some of the side stuff we're working on.
Okay.
Obviously, in the Wheeler-DeWitt equation, it's a relativistic version of the Schrodinger equation where time drops out. It's a time independent version. This brings about the whole quote unquote problem of time, in quantum gravity, right? In the 1980s, two individuals, Don Page and William Wooters, came up with a plausible solution to this, which has been recently extended from QM to QFT. So that's a good sign. Essentially, basically, they say, see how in relativity it breaks the meaning of simultaneity. And we one of the rulers in general relativity is the clock, the T00, or the T00 in the metric. What in an overly simplified version is they say, well, if time is quantum, we can slice up all these time slots in like a black universe type degree, and then we can put them together and do a superposition of time. And then it ends up satisfying this timeless state boundary in time, almost non-linearly. Now, here's where you might find something interesting. What do you think the energy gradient is at this null boundary?
Does it have something to do with the superforce?
Oh, yes, it does. Because it has to, because it ends up being the information encoded on the boundary ends up being proportional via the Bekenstein entropy of a black hole.
Sure.
The Bekenstein entropy is going to be
it has the superforce in there, absolutely.
And so it all kind of comes around full circle.
Okay, so what is he saying right here? He's basically saying that we are in a simulation and that there's this energy all around us that's projecting the simulation all the time. Pretty much what he's saying, and that all the information about everything inside the simulation can be maintained on a boundary that's at a lower dimension. So it could be like we are basically in a simulation on a computer being run somewhere else, and that the superforce, the connection between the ether and our reality, is what allows energy to come pouring into our reality. Yeah, that we're basically like a hologram. It's very similar to like the idea of a hologram. Now, does that mean that you're not real? I don't know. You tell me. Do you feel real? I would say you're real if you have an inner monologue. If you don't have an inner monologue and you don't like have thoughts, deep thoughts and questions about reality, then you're probably not real. If you do those things, then yeah, you probably are real.
At this point.
Yes,
So-
yes. Let me say something about time here. You might find interesting. Maybe as a matter of fact, since you're very enterprising and very intelligent, let's go to this because you might find this interesting. Think of, from a dimensional scaling analysis type, very rudimentary. Think of time, right?
Yep.
Time goes as 1 divided by frequency. It could be frequency of spin or frequency of vibration. It does not matter. Now, if you do the chain rule on that, something very strange comes out. Speaking of quantum of time, comes out minus delta t is on the order of delta frequency divided by frequency square times possibly a constant that is dimensionless. And I believe that constant has to do with, so what I'm trying to say here is that it's possible to have a negative delta t. We're talking about possibility of reverse temporal excursion.
Yes. So this is consistent both with Benowitz work and
So I'm not familiar with all the words, but reverse temporal excursion sure as hell sounds like time travel to me, chat. Reverse temporal excursion. So what he's saying there is that time, and we've known this, when you look at the math, you can have negative time. And everybody wonders, what the hell is negative time? What does that mean? What does negative time actually mean? I think, and I don't know, probably other people also think this as well, is that really what you can do is you can change the entropy of a region of space-time, a local region of space-time. You can change the entropy of it. So you could go back in time within a bubble. A bubble could go back in time, but it's not changing the outside area. It's only changing the bubble itself. So it's like, if I have a person, and I guess I'll use this screw, right? I have this person, right? He's in this universe with us, and I were to put a bubble around him, then what will happen, and I were to do negative time on the bubble. So take this bubble here, negative time bubble. Then what's going to happen is this person's now going to come back, and when they come out of the bubble, they're going to be younger than they were before. They're younger than they were before. Wait, what? How's that possible? Negative excursion or whatever, negative temporal excursion event. That's why. So would you call that time travel? Yeah, it's time travel because this person just got younger. This person just got younger. They're now younger. So yes, that would be time travel, but you're not going to go back. You can't change history that way. There's no way to change history. At least, honestly, if you can come up with a way to change history, assuming that understanding of time travel, I want someone to understand and explain to me a scenario where you would actually be able to change history. Because I can't work one out in my head where that could happen. Okay.
And are you familiar with Neil Turok and his CPT?
Dr. Turok, absolutely. I love him. He was the director of Perimeter Institute for a while. Yes, he's absolutely somehow dialing the frequencies. As crazy as that sounds, this equation speaks to it, though.
So
time by being immersed in, maybe even biologically reverse time by being immersed into, say, a bath of non-ionizing radiation and somehow dialing the frequencies. As crazy as that sounds, this equation speaks to it, though.
So you're familiar.
So, I mean, you guys just heard what he just said, chat. He said, well, if you bathe in non-ionizing radiation, maybe you can reverse time. Maybe you can reverse time for a region of space-time. So it's actually not impossible. Why is this huge? So if you didn't like my clickbait title before, this is an even bigger clickbait title. We might be able to live forever. The people that are currently alive right now on this planet, if you're young enough, you might be able to live forever. We might be able to utilize this negative temporal excursion, really just negative time. We might be able to use that to reverse aging and to wipe out cancer, reverse tumors, reverse anything. Pretty wild, huh?
Obviously, you're familiar with Dr. Roger Penrose and his orchestrator.
Of course, yes. From
They use the time-dependent Schrodinger equation.
Right.
We asked the very simple question, what happens when you apply Everett's framework to a relativistic version of the Schrodinger equation?
Right.
So basically, what does he do here? They use a different framework for the math. And when they use this other framework, they basically come out to a different answer, of course. And so this kind of goes and speaks to the suppression of the physics and how we kind of went down this wrong path, where if we had just gone down a slightly different path and realized like we can manipulate gravity, then we would have solved all this a long time ago.
And what we end up with is a field theoretic extension of the Page-Wooters mechanism that I mentioned earlier, where where everything, the intelligence of all information, so to speak, is encoded at this null boundary, where the kind of the superforce acts on it, and so you can't go past this point. It's kind of like it would kind of where observers they will always be bounded.
Okay, so here's another thing I wanted to speak to, and we're just short on time, so I'm gonna just speak to it instead of watching the video, which takes longer. Is that it's possible that we're in some type of hyperdimensional shape, I'll call it our universe, where there is no edge, there's no boundary. Just like with our planet, where if you were to go to the North Pole and then you were to say, hey, keep going north, you'd say there's nowhere, I can't go north anymore. I can only go south from here. So the same way where we're on a planet where the same idea of like why we think flat Earth is silly, that could also be true of our universe as well. Maybe the universe just goes around and around. Maybe it's just like an infinite shape. Maybe it doesn't have a boundary at all. I think that's a really interesting thought where it's like, okay, you keep going that direction and eventually you come out the other side. Why can't that be our universe? In fact, it almost certainly is, right? To me, that's what makes the most sense when I think about the shape of our universe. I mean, and someone says, well, show me the evidence. I mean, we're talking about theoretical physics, so you can't really. You want me to get you some images? But if I were to present the evidence, this would be the strongest evidence I would show you. Because it's fair to ask for evidence. Don't get me wrong. I'm never against asking for evidence. We just learned from James Webb. James Webb Space Telescope found galaxies that are far too advanced, that are too far away to be explained by our current cosmological understanding. They're too advanced. So what this means is either our universe is now either double the age that it was before, or we've completely misunderstood something important about our universe. Those are the two logical conclusions at this point. There's a scientific paper out there that says now, the universe has to be like 26 billion years old. We just thought it was 14 billion. Now we're adding 12, 13 billion more years to it. So there's something very wrong about our universe. So no one really has the right at this point to talk down to other people about their cosmological view of the universe, because truth is there's a lot of gaps in what we call the standard model at the moment. Let me hit a couple of these donations. Heard you joking about space energy. I propose the term counter space energy. Yeah, people like the idea of counter space. Tesla said to manifest the radiant field in 3 dimensions, you have to interrupt the electron flow. Yeah, that makes sense. Interrupt the flux. You're basically trying to, hammer a hole in space-time. Like there's this web of energy that's there and you need to break into it. So we just need the right tool. That's all we need. Thank you for that donation. Catch Jesse interview. Yeah, he came across a lot better, and he did not have the Senpaku eyes either. He was wearing glasses and he looked like a normal person. It was really bizarre. It was like a huge glow up. I couldn't believe it. I think I already told you, Jong. Thank you very much for that donation, Booba. John Hutchinson used Klystron's work to stack microwaves. Yeah, so stacking microwaves, again, guys, is taking a wave and you stack them on top of each other, and then what happens? It amplifies. You amplify it. Amplify the wave. I identify as UAP. How dare you identify as UAP? Anyone who uses the term UAP, they are banned. Just kidding. Chris Mellon is a knob. Thank you. Have you looked into superconducting graphene yet? Not deeply, but I think it sounds legit from what I've looked into it so far at a minor level. Okay, let's go back to this, guys, and finish this off.
So servers are in the bulk, right? So we'll all be bound to the finite.
Right.
Unless you have a way.
You have how? You must be half my age. How these people who believe something between you and I?
Well,
All right, go ahead.
what we found with Everett is, following the work of Carroll is that. So in Carroll's work, obviously he provides a very unique path to. He's a professor from Brock University. Views on time travel. You have Hawking. It can't happen.
Right.
That was boring. We're going to throw that one out the window. Sorry,
Right.
Hawking. I have great respect, but
so do I. But the whole idea of limiting yourself again, they're always conditional possibilities.
Yeah.
I do not believe in impossibilities.
Yes.
I believe almost everything is possible, depending on finding the correct conditions.
Throwing Hawking's conjecture out the window, that leaves Novikov's conjecture.
Yes.
Which is that time travel is possible, but there's no free will. You can go back, but everything, it's one giant CTC. Okay,
right.
Maybe. But what Shoshani, he goes and he proves rather mathematically rigorously, is that any system that would allow for apparent faster than light travel, like a warp drive, for example, in relativity, can only exist in a many worlds interpretation. Because
check it out.
Okay, I want to jump in on this part. So let me help you guys out there for everybody who's not deep into physics. What they're saying is that, okay, if time travel is possible, if we assume that time travel is possible, how does it work? One view is that there is time is deterministic. Whatever happened always happened. You can't change the past. If you were to go to the past, whatever you did in the past, that would always happen. There's nothing you can do about that. The other theory is that there are many worlds, there are many universes, parallel universes, where every possible thing that could have happened has happened in all those different universes. And so when you're time traveling, all you're doing is jumping from one universe to the next, where that thing did happen that you chose to do. So it really becomes a matter of, do you believe in free will or not? Truthfully, that's what it boils down to. So time travel, ultimately, if you do believe in the science fiction version of it, which is that you can go back in time, you can go back to 1950, then it becomes just a matter of, do you believe that time is deterministic? There's no free will. Whatever you did, you always did, and you'll always do it in a loop over and over and over again. Or if you believe that everything is probabilistic. Yeah, that's a good probabilities is a good way to look at it. Where you could do any option, and there's all these universes out there where you choose each option, and you're just living your life as you're traversing through those choices. I think that both are interesting. I don't have enough information to say what's the truth answer, but as I just explained to you, there's another answer. Here's the other answer. There is no paradox. There's no paradox. You can't break causality. Causality is not broken by faster than light travel. If causality is not broken by faster than light travel, then there's no problem. The question is, what does faster than light travel really look like? What does it really look like? And I would want to see an experiment. And maybe there probably is one. Maybe I'm dumb. I want to see an experiment of someone showing me us breaking causality. Because from my perspective, here's my answer for you. This is my logical interpretation, okay? I can walk through a portal. Let's assume there's a portal. One side is connected to us, and the other side is connected to Mars. So we have one portal on Earth and one portal on Mars. If I go through the portal and I come back through the portal again, I go to Mars, I can go through the portal in Mars, and I can go stand on the surface of Mars, and I can go look back at the Earth, and I will look at myself on Earth waving at myself on Mars. That's not because there's two me's. There's not two me's. There's no way that the me on Mars can pass me information that I can take advantage of on Earth. It's not possible. So if I then go back through the portal, I'm always going to show up through the portal after I already did the whole waving thing. There's never a scenario where I go back in time where I go back through the portal again. I'm always showing up through the portal after I did the stuff that I did before. So to me, this is a situation where with the portal scenario, there's no scenario where I come back through the portal and there's a younger me sitting there waiting. So maybe I'm missing something, but that's the simple. I'm not sure. That's the thing. This is why I'm bringing it up. If I was sure, I'd tell you guys I'm 100% sure. This kind of this kind of thought experiment is actually like really taxing on your mind. It's actually kind of hard to understand. So again, I would ask you what your question is. How do you view that problem? So just imagine there's a portal on Earth, and imagine there's a portal on Mars, and you walk through it, and you go wave at yourself on Earth, and then you go, and you're outside, and you go look up, and you can see yourself, and then you go back through the portal, and you come out. You always come out back through that portal later than you went through it, in my opinion. I don't know. Interesting thought process, though. Interesting thought experiment. So let's watch the last few minutes, because the last thing I want to dig into tonight, guys, one of the things that I spoke to some people on is like this idea of black projects. Like what is it that the government's covering up? They're covering up this physics. Okay, well, why are they covering up science? Why are they covering up physics and science? It's because of the implications of the science. And this guy, Daniel, has a really good take on it. Shout out to him. I've never heard of him before this, but bravo, man.
Yeah, so
somewhere in here he mentions it.
Novikov's conjecture can solve some paradoxes, but he proves that it cannot solve all of them. Luminally is like a superfluid of the universe.
Superfluid. Kirsten Huang, Dr. Huang, a good friend of Freeman Dyson, has a book called A Superfluid Universe, where he actually hits on it's already been done. It's already been.
I believe
here we go. This is the part.
On the conditional possibility, I like wordplay here.
Yes.
Someone had the right.
Certain people know that the quantum vacuum can be manipulated.
Chat. This is so big. I'm going full screen. I want you all, if you're not paying attention to this, pay attention right now, okay? Sal Pais is the man. I'm not even going to use my F-bomb today. He's the man. I'm just going to play this out. Listen to what he's saying here. Sal Pais asks Daniel. He asked Daniel, do you think we've figured this out? Do you think it's possible that we figured this out? He's basically saying we've figured this. Sal is convinced people on this planet human beings have figured this technology out. Here we go. Full screen.
It really bothers me that there's so much. Do you think this is that certain people know that this can be done?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just leave it there. Yeah.
I'm at the point where I've been studying this long enough. I genuinely believe that on the conditional possibility, I like wordplay here.
Yes.
Someone had the right team with the right motivations, with the right amount of funding, we would only be about a decade away from a technology demonstrator.
Do you think it's already been done? Remember what you saw?
Yes, at the subluminal capacity, most definitely. Superluminal capacity, I don't know yet, but
understood.
Most definitely at the subluminal for sure, 100%.
Understood. If I may ask you something, because it drives me crazy. A lot of people are looking into this, and what do you?
Okay, so he says we could do this. We could make a warp drive in under 10 years. He says the public could make a warp drive in under 10 years. And then Sal asked him, do you think people have already done it, already figured it out, already produced it? Yes. Thinks it's already been done. Why is this such a huge thing to make? This is bigger. This is bigger than anything you've seen on Ross Coulthart or Jesse Michaels or from Lou Elizondo or Jeremy Corbell, because he just said, you just listen to this whole interview with this guy, and he understands physics. He's probably a PhD. He probably is. If he's not, he's going to be a PhD, I imagine. And he understands the physics extremely well. And you realize that he's looking at the physics and he's going, no, we've had plenty of time to figure this out. Plenty of time. The physics goes back really far. And so he's going, no, we've definitely figured this out, guys. This is why, why are the disclosure people not talking to the engineers who are literally telling you, we've figured it out, chat. We've figured out gravity.
Do you think these quote unquote drones or orbs are over New York and New Jersey?
Well, I would say it's not just New York and New Jersey. If you following the trends of the media, they're actually being viewed all over. It's
everywhere.
China, It's Argentina, it's the UK,
right.
It's everywhere.
Right.
I don't know enough about them to make a claim as to where they're from. I could see how they could be any number of tech leveraged in quite a few different ways for a number of reasons, some of which are more nefarious than others.
How close to disclosure do you think we are?
I think disclosure is a process, not an event.
Process. Right. Yeah.
I find game theory very interesting, and I have to ask myself, and I like decision trees and thinking about what makes sense in certain situations.
Right.
If some certain group of individuals.
Okay, so he dodges that disclosure question. I mean, he's right. He's right. He gave this snarky Reddit answer, which is disclosure is a process. He's right. Of course, it is a process. The correct answer, though, is we're nowhere near disclosure. We're nowhere near disclosure, but at the same time, we're always right at the brink of disclosure. What do I mean by that? I mean, it could happen anytime because we've already seen disclosure. Disclosure is already public. It's an issue of not the information being public. It's an issue of people waking up to realizing these videos are real. When people realize these videos are real, we will have disclosure. We'll have full disclosure when people realize these videos are real. So the issue is a matter of us. The issue is us is the problem. So it could happen tomorrow. It could happen 20 years from now. It could be 1,000 years from now. I can't tell you. So the thing I love about what he's about to say here next, I'm just going to go back like 5 seconds, is he explains, he says he likes game theory. I love game theory as well. I love game theory. What choice do you make given certain variables, given certain decisions to be made? That's game theory. So what does he say right here? Now he's going to say, what is the game theory on UFOs? What is the game theory on zero-point energy technology? What is the game theory on us having this technology? So listen closely. This is a great clip. This guy deserves to go viral for this. This is awesome. So I'm going to go full screen with it.
Situations.
Right.
If some certain group of individuals may have stumbled upon the correct physics in a particular year, 1957, let's just throw the year out there.
Right.
What would the current demographic, or why would they want to classify? Okay, it's the Cold War. It has to do with radiological materials. Obviously, this is going to go under the provision of the Atomic Energy Commission, which is now the Department of Energy.
Right.
Okay, I get that. You know, we study nuclear physics without teaching people how to build the bomb. I get that. I agree with it wholeheartedly.
Sure.
Now, if something becomes exceedingly easy to make a weapon that can make the bomb look like a firecracker, I could understand wanting to put the kid gloves on physics.
Oh my God.
While
yes.
you have certain private industries which aren't under the purview of congressional oversight work on maturing the tech in the background. Now the question is, what happens when the rest of the world starts to find out the same thing independently?
Yes,
that's now out of the bag. Well, now you have to start doing some type of weird counterintelligence scenario where you're trying to get ahead of the car, you're trying to get the horse ahead of the wagon while still keeping your foothold. And it turns into this really complex scenario. And it seems to me like the Nash equilibrium comes out to some type of controlled disclosure. Because
I love it. I love every single word that he just said right there. We'll go back to full screen. Because he says, what if they figured this out? What if they figured this out back in like the 40s or the 50s? They figured it out with the Manhattan Project or sometime after that. They took the information, they protected it using the Invention Secrecy Act, the Atomic Secrecy Act. They categorized it under nuclear technology. So they classified it under the Atomic Secrecy Act. Therefore, we don't get to know anything about it. And the danger was that what if we can do what if we can make a black hole with a small amount of energy? What if we can make a black hole with a tiny amount of energy? We don't need a huge amount of energy to produce a black hole. That's dangerous. And they realized it's so dangerous that we can't give people free energy. It's too dangerous to tell people this is real. And so then we started the PSYOPs. The PSYOPs began. We had to lie to people about physics. We had to tell people they're crazy when they see stuff floating around in the sky. We had to discredit the whole movement. And instead of telling people the truth about the technology, and Jason Giorgiani is great. Check out the interview with Jason Giorgiani if you have not. We can't tell people about the technology. Instead, we're going to tell them stories about aliens. We're going to tell them stories about aliens, and we're going to wake them up to what's really going on in this universe. Now, what's really going on in this universe? We are ants. We are cave people living in our little caves, making little fire, making little rockets, shooting them in the sky. We're a primitive species, a low entropy species. We're low entropy, chat. Low entropy, primitive cave people. And we have the capability to become what we would right now in our current state imagine to be gods. You can be a Marvel movie character if you want. That's what I'm offering you with this information. Free energy, 0-point energy technology will turn you into a Marvel character. You can be the invisible person or whatever. You can be the stretchy man. We can do literally just anything. So their move then is slow disclosure. They want people to wake up. Here's the problem. It's never going to work. We're never going to change. Humans are what we are. We're a flawed species. Do you guys really think that we're going to change? Let me ask you this. If getting this technology meant you have to give up all your freedoms, would you do it? Hell no, you won't. I don't even need you to listen to answer the question. When I brought this up, people got mad at me. I said, what if it's true that we have to give up all our freedoms and become a collectivist society to harness 0-point energy? People got angry, and I said, well, you better start rationalizing this choice because this might be the truth. Humans are not going to change. So what's the point on waiting it out? What are we waiting for? Let's stop waiting. Like this idea that like knowing that aliens are real is going to change humanity. It's not. It's not going to change anything. It's going to change nothing, guys. That's the problem. So I totally understand that people have this stupid ass plan in place that they think that if they tell people about aliens that the world's going to become a one world government or whatever stupid shit because they watch too many Marvel movies. That's not how it's going to ever work. This is how it's really going to play out. Videos are going to leak on the internet that show a black operation of us using this technology that's unambiguous. And it already happened. And then some random healthcare IT guy who doesn't know shit about shit finds the videos and doesn't let them go. And goes on the biggest podcast in the world, including people like Candace Owens. And Candace Owens dunked on Sean Ryan and Joe Rogan, who I was basically begging to go on their shows. And Candace Owens came along and dunked on them. She came along and just shat all over them and said, I'm going to get real disclosure, not this pussy disclosure of here are the aliens and they're real. Doesn't this like wake you up, guys? You're like totally woken up now. No, instead, I went on Candace Owens and we got plasma orbs are real. Free energy is real. We can manipulate gravity. We've been able to do it for a long ass time. Here are the people that can do it. And here are the lying pieces of shit politicians and intelligence agents, people who know about it. That's what we got with Candace. So whether or not you like her or hate her, at least she had the balls to actually talk about this. Man, I'm ranting a lot tonight, chat. Okay. So was that the last clip, though? I think that might have been the last one. Let's see.
God forbid that.
In your opinion, do you think China already has this?
Well, this is kind of where I'm coming at it is if
this is the question.
China doesn't have it and we do,
then who?
Good,
right.
Then we should try and stay ahead. And the best way we can stay ahead is to open source this so we can get more minds on it. Now, if China is ahead, then, okay, we really need to get the best minds on this. It needs to become less compartmentalized because they're already working on it. And we need to
Manhattan Project.
We need a Manhattan Project size.
Yes.
We need the whole idea of, I'm not sure. Are you acquainted?
We are definitely ahead of China. No question, but China can probably catch up pretty fast, okay? So we are, look, this is not just fear-mongering. This is just reality. This is the real world, chat. China is a threat. And here's the real world, too. Even if we admit we did that to MH370, there's going to be a significant percentage of people that are going to say that it was justified from a military covert perspective to keep America safe. That will be the argument that they'll use. Truthfully, it's a pretty strong argument. You look at that technology and you go, yes, I want America to have this technology and nobody else. It's that scary. But you just look at the geopolitical landscape over the last 20, 30 years, and it's obvious that the United States government is the big dog. We're the big dog. We're the ones that has the technology. Everybody else is just catching up, fighting for second place. The problem is, at some point, you can still destroy the Earth in second place. You get what I'm saying? You can still destroy the Earth in second place. So we're hitting an inflection point where it's got to come out one way or another, because you just can't keep it hidden forever. And there's going to be a big event that will happen at some point in the near future that will be very difficult to rationalize without evoking the science that we've been discussing. Late to the stream tonight, but I made it. Happy Friday. Cheers, Aristotle, and for everybody else who's celebrating their Friday. Cheers. Do you know any gay lefty egg sorcerers? I do not. I actually would love to interview Jake Barber. I have nothing against Jake Barber. I am getting weird vibes from him because it feels like Jake Barber's like trying to touch every base. Like, pick a lane and go with it. You're saying everything. But, you know, maybe it's true. Maybe he is a journeyman Indiana Jones of UFO whistleblowers. But I am also tired. All these whistleblowers, they feel very manufactured. It feels extremely manufactured. Like we're supposed to treat them like a celebrity. Like they want to be treated like a celebrity. That's not the reason why you're becoming a whistleblower. Becoming a whistleblower is supposed to be about sacrifice. It's supposed to be about you might go to prison for the things that you say. That's what whistleblowing was supposed to be about. It's not supposed to be coming out like you're on the starting lineup of the Lakers or something like that, where you're coming out and you're going, here he is, everybody, the next whistleblower. Woo! Feels like that's how they want us to be treating these guys. Like, do you have the goods or do you not have the goods? That's really, I think, at the point we're at now, you know? The whistleblower to me is the one that comes to me with the video that's just indisputable. Here's a real event that happened. Here's the leaked videos of us recording that event. And what you see in those videos is clearly not conventional propulsion. That's all we need. Oh, and we have it. We have it. We literally have it. We've literally been staring at it. Like, just no doubt. These are the videos. Edward Lin leaked these videos. I'm going to find him. That's obviously a drone video. You know, this isn't big brain stuff. We just have to look at what we're seeing with our eyes. That's MH370. That's a real plane. There's probably other situations like this. They probably have other videos like this. That's the craziest thing. The videos aren't enough. That's the problem. Even though we have these videos, they need to be undebunkable. And the only way to make them undebunkable is to find Edward Lin. If I find Edward Lin, then the videos become undebunkable. Because then anybody says, well, I thought it was video game effects. I thought they were using pictures from some obscure website that nobody uses. All those arguments just fall to the wayside, right? No, and here's the problem. I saw a good comment. I don't know. I'm just going to read it because I don't. Oh, here it is. I think this is it. Here's the issue. Reputable interviewing. This is the problem. Like, the fact that we require reputation and credibility instead of just facts and evidence, this is the problem with society. Does everybody not understand this? This is the problem. This is why we're so stupid. This is why we haven't figured out anti-gravity. Because we care about the credibility, how somebody makes us feel. We want how credible, how reputable is that person? How does that person make me feel? These things don't matter in science. In science, they're not variables. How credible someone is doesn't impact reality. It's just a matter of what is the facts and what are the evidence. Somebody could be wrong 99 times out of 100, and they could still be right the 1 in 100 times. And the person that you find to be credible that's right 99 times, they could still be wrong the 1 in 100 times. They could still be wrong. You might say, well, I'm going to still just go with the credible person. I don't roll dice. I'm not rolling dice when I'm trying to come to factual, logical arguments. I just want to say, what are the facts and the evidence? And it's okay if there's not an answer. There's multiple options. That's okay. I just want to say, okay, here's the evidence. Here's the facts. What are the stories that make sense based on those facts? That's science. Okay. Whew. Chat, we've been ranting today. And so last thing I'll say on that, though, real quick, is this, is that I've always been open-minded to things. My whole life, I've been open-minded to stuff. But I also require evidence to come to my own conclusions. I don't join cults. I don't even really do organized religion, although I would say I'm religious, because I don't like to be told what to think. I want to come to the conclusion on my own based on the facts and the evidence, and I want the rest of the world to come to that conclusion, because that's the only way we can figure out the truth. And if we don't have enough evidence, that's fine. We don't have enough evidence and facts. Instead, what you see happen is people create narratives. They create stories based on how they feel. And truthfully, you could argue that I did that. But not really, because when I was looking at that video of the plane coming down, I'm looking at video evidence of an object moving at a very high rate of speed and creating a very large explosion, right? Can you be wrong? Yeah, that's fine. You can be wrong. Let's not be afraid to be wrong, and let's also follow evidence over feelings, facts over feelings. Okay. Chat, I think we're almost done with this, but I think there might be one more thing. Let me see.
With Dr. Eric Weinstein, the whole idea of course, we could have a Zoom and
the way that I have expressed this is it's kind of like, how many ways can we use Boltzmann theory of thermodynamics to extract mechanical energy out of expanding gas?
Oh, here we go.
We could have a Zoom and look, between you and I, this whole idea, he uses metamaterials, but
yes.
You know that I believe in energy amplification.
Yes.
And the resonance condition, again, so
if you didn't believe before, if you thought I was making up before, Sal Pais just said that Jack Sarfati believes we need metamaterials. But he says, I believe in energy amplification. I believe in energy amplification, direct quote from Salvatore Pais. I don't think I'd heard that direct quote from him before. I pay attention closely. Maybe both are true. Maybe we can reduce the energy requirement, but we can also amplify energy at the same time. And if we can do either of those things, you can produce infinite energy, in theory, or at least hit the ceiling of how much energy you can achieve.
It all depends, bro. There are many ways to reach Rome.
So it's kind of the way that I have expressed this is it's kind of like, how many ways can we use Boltzmann theory of thermodynamics to extract mechanical energy out of expanding gas? We can use a piston engine, we can use a rotary engine, we can use a turbine engine, a bunch of ways to skin a cat, but at the end of the day, the root of it is all entropy.
I mean, I tried my best to put my ideas out there, and trust.
The root of it is all entropy. Entropy is things getting more complicated. Just think of it, you can think of it in terms of temperature if you want to simplify it. Hot and cold. Hot flows to cold. Who is the guy that Sal is talking to? This is a great question. So if anybody knows, what's his name? Daniel Davies. Let me know. I'm curious to who he is. I probably should have looked him up. You could say I'm bad at my job for not doing that, but whatever. Okay. Let's skip ahead a little bit.
Says there's no way you well know that via the quantum vacuum,
there is a way.
It is possible to do this. As a matter of fact, if you look at Dr. Eric Davis, he was on Gen Z with Dave Rossi. He was recently on a podcast with Dave Rossi. Look it up, because I bet you'll find it. Eric W. Davis, he actually says at one point, oh, no, you cannot. And then he basically gives the solution for it by manipulating locally the quantum vacuum. And he actually said it in his Frontiers on Propulsion Science.
Are you ready for this? That was a direct reference to the clip that I shared. That clip actually, let me see if I have it. Because I actually did a video about it. So that meant that Sal's watching my live stream. Hi, Sal. Everybody say hi to Sal. Sal Pais might be watching. He was watching my live stream. when I brought that up. Here's the reduced inertia. I think this is it.
How do you reduce inertia or modify inertia?
You reduce or you modify inertia by changing the 0 point energy all around you. That's the answer.
It's a resistance to a change in motion, which we quantify as a proportionality constant between an external force and an acceleration. So what are you reducing?
A few moments later.
The RHIC experiments give you the idea that if you can modify the condition of the quark-gluon vacuum state,
right,
then you can modify the mass of the baryon.
Well, that's a 180-degree flip. 5 minutes ago, he was saying there's no way to modify mass and inertia. Now he's given us a complete fundamental understanding of how if you manipulate the vacuum energy, the 0 point energy, the ether, you can manipulate mass and inertia. Wow. 5 minutes ago, he was saying the opposite thing. Now he's saying that we can do it. I love that I have the Deep V shirt on because that's from my live stream, but that was exactly it, right? So that's what Sal is saying right here in that clip is Sal is saying that Eric Davis literally contradicts himself in that interview. He at first says, of course, you can't manipulate. This is the crazy part, that they're gaslighting. Eric Davis is gaslighting. He's going, you can't manipulate mass and inertia directly, but indirectly you can manipulate mass and inertia because you change the 0 point energy around an object, and that manipulates the object's mass and inertia. You make a bubble. And here's the thing, for the people that are wondering, how do you make your bubble require less energy? You make it thinner. You make it microscopically thin. The bubble doesn't have to be thick. The bubble just needs to displace you from space-time. The tiniest possible thickness will still accomplish that. And you'll produce mass reduction and inertia reduction. And with mass reduction and inertia reduction, you have no resistance. There's no resistance. Now you can do everything that you see happen in the MH370 videos.
I think we're best coming together instead of smuggling.
No need for that.
I agree.
We're not.
I know you're getting short on time, so I have one more thing before we
go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
November 3rd, 2023, the Senate Armed Services Committee had a meeting about the topics of fusion, UAP, and extended electrodynamics.
Oh yeah, we listened to
how three may intertwine. Now, I happen to notice, and I can scrub this out, that was right at the same time that yourself and Dr. Taylor stopped doing media for a year. Would that happen? Would that have to do with any particular Karada?
No.
Nothing, sir. As a matter of fact.
Okay. So that was the live stream for tonight, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm pretty sure I got all the super chats tonight. I appreciate it. I want to say that first of all, if you felt like you got debated, you got screwed over and now you learned some science. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, hit the like and subscribe. You know what? I'm not above grifting for likes and subscribes, whatever. It's on you. Now on the other side of it, what at the end there, we listened to how and why this has been kept secret from us for all this time. But I think the other important part is what this science means. This physics isn't just one thing. It's not like they hid just the cure for cancer. The cure for cancer is achieved through negative time. It's not the way we thought, but we can manipulate 0 point energy and create negative time, and we can cure cancer. The moment you slip open this Pandora's box, everything is coming out. Everything is coming out, guys. The cure for cancer comes out. The 0 point energy, the free energy comes out. The time reversal, whatever comes out, but also doomsday weapons. The weapons you can create with this technology are well beyond. Well, it's better if I just show you, right? The weapons you can create with this 0 point energy technology is this. We can create this. Whatever just happened in that video, whether or not you believe it's a teleportation or annihilation, I'm not sure which is scarier. That plane is just gone. So everything comes together. And this is the reason why they don't want anyone to pull on any of these threads. Because if you pull on one thread, you find it all. Admittedly, I've always been torn about it. But we zapped away a plane that had 239 people on it. It's pretty evil. And I feel like that's worthy of people knowing the truth. It's worthy of people knowing the truth. So the best thing that we can do is educate one another. So I hope that you learned a little bit from that interview. And I would strongly recommend for the people that are either new or even intermediate, Google all the terms that we heard in that interview. Google all the terms that you heard, the people that were mentioned, the scientific papers, and you will see a very clear trend of this idea of the ether or 0-point energy or space not being empty. And this idea that we can extract that energy and how we can use that as negative energy to produce warp drives and wormholes and things like that. You're going to see this common trend. And the point is, there isn't all these different options for what it can be that allows UFOs to fly. The energy source for UFOs is like one thing, 0-point energy. That's it. There isn't another list of things. And it also allows fusion power, free energy. Free energy is the thing that they're hiding, guys. So this is probably the message I want to leave you with is be decent people. Be decent people. That's the best thing that you can do on this planet is just be a decent person. It's easy to be a shitty person. I know firsthand. It's hard to be a decent person. Yeah, 239 people is going to give us disclosure. It's sad, but at the same time, it's inspirational or hopeful for the future. Okay, guys, thank you very much for following the live stream tonight. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be back on Monday, guys, unless something else crazy happens, and we got to do another breaking live stream. So, peace, MH370X. Love you all. Have a great night. Later.
Infrared eyes, scanning the black, tracking the heat, never turning back. Control 22, a covert gaze. Control 33, in the cosmic maze. Controls in the mix, secrets untold. Silent watchers, brave and bold. In the shadows, they silently glide, protecting our interests, far and wide. As fears, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. In the silence of space, they keep their post, shields unseen yet feared the most. With precision and speed, they warn of danger, keeping us safe from the missile's anger. As beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. Controls in the mix, secrets untold, silent watchers, brave and bold. In the shadows, they silently glide, protecting our interests, far and wide. As beers, sentinel of the night, watching over with infrared sight, alerting us to threats afar, guiding our defenses like a guiding star. As beers, sentinel of the night, watching